It's May 26th, 2025. I am at Joel Pearl, thejoelpearl.com on Blue Sky, and it's time to get in the weeds. To the Americans out there, happy Memorial Day. I hope your Monday is a pleasant one. Here in Toronto, it's nice. It's beautiful outside. A little chilly, but it's blue skies, and we got a little bit of sunlight, so I can't complain about that. Jeremy Lambert is here. He's probably slept about as much as I have, which is weird because I thought I'd have more sleep in me, but I don't. How are you doing, Jeremy?
Okay.
You're alive. It's a start.
Yeah.
My child woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I got that going for me. Nah, why not? Yeah, so here I am, just like y'all, on a wonderful post AEW pay-per-view morning, feeling the way we're feeling. You stayed up for everything. You saw everything.
AEW was last night? I thought NXT was the big show.
NXT was the big show.
Okay.
The Youngling Center was popping for those kids.
Kids. TNA drew a big house.
Hell yeah, brother. Wait, which house? You talking my house? We talking Brampton?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they draw a big house there. Brampton.
Oh, I have to be honest. I didn't make it to Under Siege for a plethora of reasons. No, because my wife was sick earlier in the on the Thursday, right? And she still wasn't feeling great by Friday, so I figured I'd stay home and actually like be with the kid. And also I was exhausted too, so I would have fallen asleep before really I missed the last two tags when I was watching the show. Regardless, I didn't go to Under Siege. I put up a few things on Twitter that basically felt how I felt about the show, which was it happened. And
Under Siege.
Yes, that was Friday night. I know you're talking about
Friday. Who could remember what happened on Friday, Joel?
Someone on Twitter was like, "Are you guys doing a post show?" I was like, "Hell no, we're not doing a post show for Under Siege."
Who could remember what happened on friggin' Friday?
I hear you.
We're not talking about Under Siege. Don't. No.
I'm not going to. I don't want to talk about that. I can really give you like a 2 seconds about Saturday. I went to the TV tapings. I do appreciate they started at 4 o'clock Eastern, which was nice. I thought they'd be done by like 6 because they're only taping for 2 weeks. No, 7:30 because God forbid we don't draw this out. And yeah, obviously no Joe Hendry, no Trick Williams, and I explained on this show and on the post show why you wouldn't see them, and it's fine. It's 2 weeks of them not being on TV in the ring in front of the audience. They'll probably have stuff from, Battleground and post reaction, all that shit. But it looks like, I don't know, maybe plug your ears if you don't want TNA spoilers. I don't know if you care. They did a 6-man main event for week 2 that involved Santana on one side and Kazarian on the other side. Trick Williams won the title. Both men have since commented on socials that they're going to save TNA. So it feels like against all odds, it'll be a number 1 contendership match. It'll be Kazarian versus Santana. Not announced officially, but reading the tea leaves seems to be that. And for Christ's sake, it better be Santana going to Slammiversary. People are pushing back within TNA saying, no, it's not. But I'm saying you got to do it.
If they don't have Santana they had Santana show up on Battleground last night. You're not doing Kazarian and Trick Williams and the company if that happens.
They're not saying it's going to be Kazarian and Trick. They're saying it's going to be Joe and Trick 2.
Joe and Trick 2 at Slammiversary. I'm a little more forgiving of that. It should still be Santana. I'm a little more forgiving of Joe Hendry and Trick Williams too, and Joe Hendry gets his big second moment as TNA champion, but it should be Santana and Trick. You set it up. Santana's gonna shine these next couple of weeks, especially if he gets on NXT television. But he's gonna shine, and he's gonna. No offense to Joe Hendry, he's gonna outperform Joe Hendry in these next few weeks if they're given similar paths to the championship. He's gonna outshine Joe Hendry.
Yeah, Santana does have a match on Tuesday against Tavion Heights. That should be fun. And my major question, it's not really a question. I want to know if they do Santana's TNA style entrance where he comes through the crowd and everything. I'd like them to do that, continue that, bring it through to NXT. But yeah, Santana's the guy, keeps going. Someone's saying in the chat, it'll be a triple threat, right? You could do a triple threat. It's still stupid as hell. I love Jason Hotch just tweeted out. He's from TNA. Thanks for nothing, Joe. Regarding Trick Williams winning the title. I love this. Like, if the story right now is that the entire locker room hates Joe Hendry for losing the match.
That was the story anyway, wasn't it? They hated Joe Hendry just for being the champion.
That's true. But the more of the story is like he came to the ring and they're like, he has the entire company on his back. And I was like, oh, okay, that's something. And I love the idea that all these people are like, you suck, Joe Hendry. Oh, it's good times. But anyway, that's all the TNA talk we really had. The like I said, TV tapings were fun. You'll see them play out in the next 2 weeks. If you want the spoilers, they're up on the website. Jeremy reluctantly put them up. Thank you for doing that. And now you have time to leave a thumbs up on the video. How about that? Would you like to do that? You should do that. It's better than the TNA talk. We're going to have plenty to talk about. The Pyro went wild last night at Anarchy in the arena and at Double or Nothing. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about Saturday night's main event, catch you up on that, and we'll do a little bit more on Battleground. There was some fun stuff on the show that we should probably touch on a little bit. But other than that, it was a very, very, very busy weekend. So leave that thumbs up because we'll talk about it all. Maybe even SmackDown. Who knows? We'll see. Probably not. I can't even remember what I did yesterday. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. That's all you need to know. That's the A story over on SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thinking about it. Yeah, there it is. Anyway, and also you can subscribe to the channel. That always helps. And you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question statement read on the air. And we always appreciate the input of chatter that comes with the chat room itself. All right. Jeremy, it was a busy ass weekend. Where should we start?
No, you're leading the show. You started.
Back to TNA. No, just kidding.
All right, never mind.
You know what? While people are kind of coming in here, let's quickly do Saturday night's main event. Okay. Saturday night sponsor skip for those who are watching on YouTube. But so I use something on my YouTube called sponsor skip, where the green bar of health. Anytime there's a sponsor, it just automatically skips it. Buddy, my sponsor bar was massive watching Saturday night's main event. It skipped so much shit, and I watched after the fact. I saw people complain about the commercials. I thought that was very funny. But it's NBC, it's broadcast. What do you expect? They were just ill-timed. Bronson Reed comes back in that tag match. Very excited to see him. I like me Bronson Reed. Had a great conversation with him once upon a time at Elimination Chamber 2023, and he joined Heyman, Rollins, and Breakker. Of course, CM Punk keeps trying to beat down Paul Heyman because, you know, who else is he going to beat up? It was a fun little tag match. What do you think? Bronson Reed's back, and he's the third man, brother.
They got to do some explaining on that one. So I love Bronson Reed. I think him in the group is good, but you got to give a good explanation for it because he was trying to kill Seth Rollins the last time we saw him. He was also opposed to Paul Heyman the last time we saw him because he was on opposite bloodline team. So you got to give a good explanation here. And it's probably just going to be like, I know what this man is capable of. Ha 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 ha. And I wanted him, recruited him. I know how deadly he can be. Like, ain't good enough for me, honestly. Like, if that's the explanation, I think that's kind of a lazy explanation. Like, okay, cool. You know what he's capable of. Like, literally the last time we saw him on television, not quite literally because he did the Survivor Series match, but close to the last time we saw him, he was locked into trying to kill Seth Rollins. So I need more than just, I know what he's capable of and you want him on your side. You'd rather be with him than against him. Maybe Bronson Reed just takes the money. Maybe Seth Rollins just offered enough money and Bronson's like, yeah.
You seen the way that man dresses? I'd take the money too. He's a very well-dressed, sharp-dressed man.
I thought it was good money, but you got to give me some type of explanation here from Seth's side and from Bronson's side. I want to know why Bronson wanted to link up with Seth after trying to take him out and destroy him.
Commentary did make reference to the fact that Bronson and Seth were at odds before Bronson was injured. So I do hope that kind of gives pause to the audience to think, oh yeah, we have to explain this, and that it moves the story forward, like you were saying, without being like, oh, I just like him and he's a killer and blah blah blah. There has to be some sort of like, we spoke during the injury, or maybe Bronson Reed says Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman were, believe it or not, the only people who reached out to me while I was hurt, and we talked a lot, blah blah blah, like a little bit of respect when no one else respected me. So if there's a way to make it work, you got to do it, but you do have to talk about it.
Well, there's got to be a way to make it work. Otherwise, what are you doing this for outside of shock value? Because you have to make this work. You booked this, so you can't just do. If there's a way to make this work, you got to make it work.
Yeah,
there's no other choice.
I see SB3 piping in about Rollins saying he'd rather get the guy who almost killed him on his team than against him, or use Punk taking credit for the injury to convince Reed to be in the Dangerous Alliance, or whatever this Paul Heyman group is. And if that's the case, great. They're still going to they'll bring it up again tonight on Raw if they're smart, because now you'll have the follow-up eyes on this whole thing. So it's just nice to see Bronson Reed back. It's nice to see him off the injured reserve and back in the fold. So that's good. Speaking of returns, Cody Rhodes came back end of the night.
Work.
Yep, I'm sure you and Jensen will do a frame by frame breakdown on Thursday on the Spotlight. But at the end of this, it's going to be a tag match: John Cena, Logan Paul against Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes at Money in the Bank.
I am not looking forward to John Cena teaming with Logan Paul against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso
at Money in the Bank. It's inevitable that they would do the tag match. Both champions are out. They're not part of the Money in the Bank. The ladder match is the real, reason you watch the show. It's just it's a tag match. I don't care much for Logan Paul being in a main event tag match. They did a good job of at least doing the John Cena Jey Uso interaction backstage.
No, that interaction sucked.
I didn't hate it. I thought John Cena's part of it was shit. I thought John Cena's part of it was shit. I think Jey was pretty good at just being like, hey, last time I saw you, I dumped your ass over the Royal Rumble and I won it. I thought that was fine. John Cena afterwards just doing what you just did was not great. Do they add third men to this match is the question.
I don't care.
I know you love John Cena, and this heel turn is for you.
This John Cena heel turn is angering me. Legitimately angering me. I don't get angry over wrestling. I'm not truly angry. I can't believe they've screwed this up this badly. I really cannot believe it that they've screwed up John Cena's heel turn this badly. They wasted a match against R-Truth, and people are like, oh, he's conflicted because he didn't hit him with the title, but he still hit him in the dick. Oh, he's slowly turning. Yeah, 3 months. He's turning back. 3 months. And he's doing the conflicted nonsense. I don't know who this heel turn is supposed to be for.
It's for me.
And do not do. Oh, it's supposed to be bad. He's trying to ruin wrestling. If your defense of this is it is supposed to be bad, that is a lazy defense that allows for lazy booking. Because otherwise you could defend everything as, oh, it's supposed to be bad. That lets people off the hook. Like, oh, see, it's supposed to be bad. All right, then you could just book the worst shit ever and defend it as, oh, look, it's supposed to be bad. You're not supposed to like it. Book something good. Do something different. This John Cena heel turn is so disappointing. Look, I look, I love John Cena. I fully admit he ain't what he used to be in the ring. And as much as I do love John Cena, he was never like the greatest in-ring worker of all time. He would step it up for the big matches. He would perform well against people who were also very good, but he was never the 5-star classic kind of guy.
But he does kick people in the dick, so he's doing it for me, baby.
Now he just, man, it's just disappointing. Like, this is what we're doing for John Cena's last run. The most basic, boring heel gimmick we've ever seen, where he's facing Randy Orton and R-Truth and now
probably Logan Paul at SummerSlam
teaming with Logan Paul. Like, this is your big idea, but it's supposed to be bad.
That's the best part. It's supposed to. No, it's not supposed to be bad. It's bad. I know, but I'm gonna keep going with he's kicking people in the dick and winning matches. Therefore, that's it's for me. Because the only thing that I care about is when a heel kicks somebody in the dick and wins a match. Other people did it on Sunday. Other people did it on Friday. You do it, you instantly win. My world is complete. That all said, the Cody Rhodes return is what it is. Tag match, it is what it is.
And Cody coming back is fine. Like Cody's important. And Cody makes things feel important. He's got some work to do on the microphone to make this John Cena run feel a little bit bigger, because right now it ain't hitting for me. I don't have interest in seeing these matches. Like, I don't have interest. I had no interest in John Cena and R-Truth. This tag team match, no real interest in that either.
Logan Paul's gonna beat John Cena. It's gonna be great. When? Who knows?
I don't think Logan's gonna beat John Cena.
Would be funny though. All of this just for that. Come on, make another heel. Why not?
That would be terrible.
Yeah, it's not good either way. John Cena dick kicked R-Truth, so he wins the night. Drew loses, taking scheduled time off. The real star of the show for that one was Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, that ruled, actually.
Losing his shit for a solid 15 minutes about steel cage stipulations.
Yeah, that actually did rule. I'm with you, Jesse. Leaving just pin him. Leave the cage for. Walk out the door.
Why don't they climb over the cage? Back in my day, we used to climb through the cage.
I hate cage matches where you can leave and that's how you win. That's so dumb. Just pin the dude, submit the dude, leave him. Stupid. I'm with Jesse. Although I would have been more with Jesse if he didn't give the out of like, climb over the cage. I did like that he buried the leave through the door finish though.
Well, back in the day, was it pinfall submission? I thought a cage match was literally just climb out of the cage, not walk out, but climb out.
Stupid.
I'm trying to remember, but Michael Cole, like he kept trying to claw his way back in. He kept trying to get Jesse to stop. At one point, he was just like, Jesse, times have changed, and now they wanted to leave the cage, looking back at the other and say, "I'm still standing." And I'm like, nice try, Michael.
Dude, Jesse did not give a F.
Not at all.
What anybody, not only the cage stuff, Lillian's trying to do the introductions for the main event, and Jesse's just speaking all over her during that. Jesse did not care one bit what else was happening on this show. He's like, nope, I'm speaking now. I don't care who else is talking. Bless him.
Amazing. And people who kept wanting the big blue cage, they're not bringing it back. If they do, it's going to be two wrestlers who like barely interact with that cage, because the wrestlers of the 80s hated working that cage. They switched to the chain link because it became it's a lot looser and it's a lot easier to work with, because the big blue cage, which was later a black cage in 90s, that thing hurts. It's just metal. It's just steel. It's not easy to work with. So it is what it is. But that was just Jesse was just the highlight of the night for me. Watching it, just why doesn't he just call his driver to come to the door and pick him up?
Yeah, that ruled.
Oh, anyway, that was Saturday night's main event. There was a couple of other matches. There was the Women's United States Championship match. Zelina Vega retains and Chelsea breaks her nose, and here we are again. So I can't say much about the women's mid-card titles. They've done almost nothing with them, and just putting it back on Chelsea would have been an idea, but it would have been better, arguably. But
they had Zelina lose the triple threat match, as we all knew. Like, oh, come on. Exactly. Once they booked that match, it's like, wonder who's taking the pinfall here. Sorry, this U.S. women's title. Sorry that you're holding this, but you're taking the L.
And they did announce Evolution, and they did announce Saturday night's main event. They're going to be July 12th and 13th. There's 11 and 12th.
No, it's 12 and 13. Saturday's the 12th. Yeah.
Thank you. Saturday's the 12th. It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. We can make the assumption at this point that Goldberg has decided that it will be.
Use the hashtag Joel is wrong.
Goldberg event.
Use
Saturday night Goldberg.
Joel
Saturday night, who's next? Saturday night's Goldberg's next. They'll be in Atlanta. I'm sure members of the Falcons will be there to cheer him on. Is Kevin Green still alive?
I actually don't know.
Nope, he died in 2020. No. That's upsetting, because I was going to say Kevin Green being there would have been a nice touch, but unfortunately not the case. So with all that said, Goldberg, that's going to be the last match. The same, just after whatever happens at AEW All in Texas, you're going to watch Goldberg's final match. And then his son's going to take the ring and be like, I'm next. And he's going to pin his dad. And that's it. Sunberg wins again.
So the real big news here, besides Evolution 2, the real big news is they didn't give a date or anything for Great American Bash. And some people want to assume that, it's been a Tuesday NXT show. Doesn't feel like they're going to run a standalone Tuesday. Like, where's that Raw at? Let's look this up. I don't know if they have this announced yet. But let's see where Raw is, because they ain't running typically NXT away from Raw.
They don't have.
Yeah, they do. July 7th, Rhode Island.
That's the week after.
It's not. What do you
July
mean? No,
4th is July 4th is July 4th. The 7th is after that.
No, the 7th is not after the 12th, Joel. What are you talking about?
No, you were talking about Great American Bash, and I was talking about the 4th of July.
What about the 4th of July?
Oh, Great American Bash is a Great American Bash tradition of the July 4th. You do the bash.
They're in Saudi. No, they're not doing that.
They're not in Saudi on the 4th of July.
Oh, I know. Okay. All right. They're in Saudi that week, though.
Yes. They're there at the beginning of the week.
Oh my gosh. Do I need to get you a calendar?
They're there on the 29th, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's the week of the 4th of July.
Great. The 4th is on the Friday. Sunday to Friday. They're not going to, suddenly not do a SmackDown.
Can I finish my point before you interrupting of not learning how a calendar works?
I'm looking at a calendar and I'm telling you how it works.
I'm telling you what I'm trying to explain before you acting like I mentioned anything about the 4th of July when I didn't.
Oh, it's America. That's the 4th. That's the bash.
Anyway, they announced Great American Bash. They didn't give a date or a time for it. As I was trying to say before Joel brought up the 4th of July for some reason, usually it is an NXT special, which is going to be on a Tuesday. Typically, they attach the Tuesday show, if it's going to, with NXT, to wherever Raw is that week. They don't go outside and just run NXT standalone events. When they ran the ECW Arena show, Raw was in Philadelphia the night before. When they ran Vegas, Raw was in Vegas. When they were going to run Tampa, it's because Raw was in Tampa. So Raw's in Rhode Island on that Monday. The week of where July 12th is the Saturday, as I was saying. I don't know if they're going to run a standalone NXT in Georgia that week because SmackDown is in Tennessee. They're not going to Georgia until that Saturday with Saturday night's main event and Evolution. I wonder if they are planning to run NXT Great American Bash on Saturday afternoon against All In, because All In is in the afternoon. And Saturday night's main event was going to potentially be the counter program to that. But once they moved it to the afternoon, they're like, oh, well, now it's not really a counter program. Well, what can we do? How about we run an NXT show that afternoon? We know they're not opposed to running an afternoon show and then a night show. They're doing it next week with Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. The fact that they have not given a date or time for Great American Bash makes me believe they're running this show Saturday afternoon.
Is the Omni still open?
I don't know.
Has it been demolished? The Atlanta Omni. Because they're not going to work the same venue twice. Because if they're doing the
Kia, they're going to run a smaller venue for Great American Bash.
Remembering the Omni. No, closed in 1997. Damn it.
They'll have some venue in Atlanta. There's some team place somewhere in Atlanta. It might run Georgia Tech Arena, where it's run there.
Where the Georgia Tech Bulldogs play. Run the stadium. Georgia Tech.
Run Georgia Tech where the college basketball team plays.
Wonder if are there any other arenas that they can run? It's just the State Farm Arena is the main one, and then of course the stadium.
Plenty of arenas in Georgia. It's a pretty big place.
Man, they're going to be some upset NXT talent that they can't go see Beyonce that night.
Why can't they go see Beyonce? She doesn't have a Saturday show.
She doesn't?
No. She has Tuesday, Friday, Sunday.
That's a weird...
Or Thursday, sorry.
That's still a weird schedule to keep. Just doing back-to-back, Beyonce. What are you doing?
Yeah,
they can run center stage. It's Atlanta. Yeah. But it's also like, that's a small venue. That's barely 600, because they like to have something a little bit bigger than that, especially now that they're moving towards calling it WWE Great American Bash instead of NXT. Like the Youngling Center, I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of fans were like, they saw WWE Battleground, thought PLE, and didn't realize it was NXT. That was kind of their hope when they moved to being a WWE branded PLE with NXT talent. And they filled out that room pretty well last night.
Yeah, I don't think they care about the actual venue size. They care about what can we put on against AEW.
I understand that, but I also think they care about how much money they can make, and they're not going to go to center stage and charge, $1,000 a ticket just to say
Yeah, they are.
It's true, they could and they would, but I don't know if that's it. I don't know. Center stage makes sense from certain directions, but it's still a PLE and not a TV. So I don't know why you'd want to run center stage when you just did a pretty packed up Yuengling Center for Battleground. Unless you're just telling us Great American Bash is going to suck.
The fact that they haven't, given anything, they can run here. This is in Savannah, Georgia. I don't know how far away Savannah is.
Yeah, run the Savannah Bananas venue.
The in-market arena is that holds over 9,000. I don't know how far away Savannah is to Georgia, but I guess I can easily look that up. It's about 2 hours away. There you go. Can run the end market arena if you want to.
I feel like it's more likely they'll run like Marietta, which is much closer.
Sure.
Savannah.
The point is they have arena choices. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be State Farm. They have arena choices. There's more than one arena. Georgia has more than one wrestling arena.
You trying to say that they should run Cody Rhodes' backyard?
I mean, they might, honestly. They could potentially do that. Yeah. They'll probably have Cody Rhodes on that show.
I like the idea. He's got to work main event, or they'll have him open up the show. Be like, welcome to the Great American Bash. This is the workout. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have. Feels like Cody's going to be on that show. He's going to be on both shows. He can make it. He can do that show, and he can make it to Saturday night's main event. Even if they run Savannah 2 hours, you can get there real quickly.
All right. Yeah, people saying that Savannah's like 3.5 hours driving.
Oh. All right,
So
whatever. I just looked it up on Google.
I think it's more likely if they leave Atlanta to be like Marietta or something like that.
Whatever. They got the TKO jet. It's fine.
All the fans are going to just hop on the TKO jet, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Just pack the jet, go back and forth.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat saying I live in Savannah. It's not a hot wrestling crowd. That's fine. The wrestling crowd comes to you. You don't go to them. They're all in for Saturday night's Goldberg event, and then they're just going to come back and forth.
Yeah, it's fine. All I'm saying is that Great American Bash show is going to be in the afternoon to try to combat All in Texas.
Oh no, Grace pointing out someone's going to have to explain the cookout to the F4W guys again. Cody and Sean at the cookout and people just being like, oh, this is so good. They're trying to do a barbecue. Oh no, just leave it alone. Everybody leave it alone. Anyway, go back to Battleground for a few minutes. Thought the opener was good. Saw Ruka Kalani Jordan for the North American Women's Championship. Solid match. Good back and forth. Saw Ruka wins again. There you go. What's Kalani Jordan going to do next?
I don't know.
Wonderful. Stephanie back here defeats Jordan Grace. It was a good match. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And it looks like they're moving towards a Worlds Collide, potentially a triple threat for Vaquer, Dallas, and Chick Tormenta from AAA. And then they also got JC Jane involved in that somehow.
No, JC Jane's losing on Tuesday to Vaquer. So.
Oh, good point. I didn't think about Tuesday.
Yeah. Vaquer's she might stack the two AAA talents, honestly.
Oh dear. Just burying AAA out right off the bat. I get it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
It's not so bad. I mean, listen, they've clearly got big stock in Stephanie Vaquer. Jordan Grace losing this match definitely makes you wonder what's. No, I don't think she's buried or anything. I don't believe in that one. But it's more like, what's her next step? Does she stick around NXT? Is it time for her to move up? She's on a main roster deal, has been reported for the longest time by us. So where does she slot in? Does she stay in Orlando, or is she primed to move up?
I think she'll be in Orlando for a little while longer because they just moved up Roxanne and Julia. So now you're looking at two spots there where, or what are you going to do with Jordan if she moves up? Just do more DQ finish. Oh, we didn't mention on SmackDown the Wyatts returned because we had to do another DQ finish.
We said it would be that match. We said it would. We didn't expect it to be the Wyatts, but we certainly expected the DQ finish.
So tired of these DQ finishes. Just stop. Especially, I've said it a million times, especially in the main event. You want to do your dumb DQ finish in the opener? Fine. Stop doing it in the main event after 20 minutes. You get people invested in a nice long match, and then you give them a non-finish. And people are excited because it's the Wyatts and they popped for them and like it was a cool return and everything. It gets to a point of diminishing returns though. And it gets to a point of you're gonna harm your audience with this stuff because no one's going to feel great about investing into a 20-minute main event for no finish. And if you keep doing this like they have, this is what happened in the last era. You know, Vince would do this shit all the time. And after a while, people were like, oh, what's the point? Why do we care about this stuff? We're just going to get a non-finish out of this. It's lazy. So many lazy tropes.
I said it last week. I said it was lazy. I said it was stupid. I said it wasn't going anywhere. And they keep doing this and they think it's okay. Don't book that finish. Don't book that match. It was the same thing with Raw, and people were trying to, explain why Braun Breaker should be in the match to trying to get a Jey Uso light for Seth or whatever. Well, beat him up for Seth. It's not a reason. Don't book the match. Breaker could lose. He could go in a tizzy afterwards, get upset and do the beatdown segment. You do not need to wonk every finish. Let a wrestler lose. Let a wrestler win. Just go and build stock. Nobody gets buried by losing one friggin' match. This has been ongoing. We've been talking about it for a long time. The post-show folks have been talking about it for a long time, but this is just another one where you and I at this point are now just saying this is the wonk finish of the night. And it's silly and it's stupid and it's predictable.
The fact that They basically copy and paste Raw on SmackDown. It's like, oh, we did a main event. We did a DQ in the main event on Raw. What are we going to do on SmackDown? How about a DQ in the main event? Like, can you change it up a little bit? Just a little. That's all I'm asking. And stop doing DQs. I'm also asking that.
Yeah, little victories here. Don't do it. Yeah, you know what? It's stupid. All this to say happy birthday, Bray. Brought the cake out, lit the candle, took the photo. That was cute. But otherwise, the Wyatts came back. Are they going to win the tag titles next?
I don't know. Sure, if they want.
The winner of Ricky Saints and Ethan Page will defend the North American title at Worlds Collide. Don't know against who. I think that's a pretty interesting match, though. Ricky Saints versus who knows who.
How's it interesting? You don't know who it is. What if it's Alberto Del Rio? Is that interesting all of a sudden?
Don't think it's going to be Alberto.
All right. Well,
I don't think so.
I'm not interested because I don't know who it is.
It's going to be like Laredo Kid, or Laredo, if you will. Because there are people from TNA working the show, allegedly. We just don't know where or what. So there is that. And then we talked about Trick winning the TNA World Title. Sure. Carlos Silva in the front being like, and then also it's funny if you look, just watch this is the last thing I want to talk about from Battleground, and we're going to switch to AEW. If you're watching the show, watch the camera is they've got the camera on Carlos for his reaction, and he gives them the long reaction. He's looking up to the ring past the camera, and then all of a sudden he looks down like, are you done filming me yet? As if he didn't realize there's a red light on the camera that indicates when your shot is live and when it's not. And you just see him look down at the camera for a second. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Anyway, Carlos was there. Good for him. I'm sure he gave Trick a nice hat afterwards.
I don't mind.
Shout out to Casey Navarro. That's all I can say. I love that guy. We've had him on the show multiple times. He rules. He deserves all the accolades he's given.
Yeah, they just do it in like all-star of the weekend. They, as Carlos said, they do it in sports all the time. Like, it's fine. It builds camaraderie. Like, I think it's a neat little thing that they're doing. I don't know if they need to like put it on socials, but everything goes on socials nowadays.
I was gonna say, like, all the hockey teams do it, all the football teams do it too. It's no different.
Yeah, it's just it all just goes up on socials. So it's like, hey, look what we're doing. Yeah, Obafemi and Miles Bourne was good. No real surprise as to who won that match, and we will see who's next for Obafemi. And then Tony D'Angelo. Luca's not dead.
That was dog shit. And then Luca gets in the ring and he's just like, hug me. And he's like, no, why are you here? Also, Obafemi was like, I want to give Tony D'Angelo a title shot. And it's like, you want to what? He's a loser. What are we doing here?
Well, that was, he did that in an interview before Battleground, though.
Doesn't matter. Looks dumb. Looks dumb. Match seems bad. Just so what? So Oba can stack another body?
I mean, I guess.
Woof.
But
Miles Bourne came out looking good in that loss. I will say that. They do the little nod and the head shake, and that's fine. But other than that, Battleground was just a solid show. No, we're not going to talk about the 6-man culling Hank and Tank.
Oh, I told you, by the way, everyone pretty much saw it coming, but I was on the Tricks going to win the TNA title for the longest time, and it happened. And the moment they said this match was the main event, I was like, oh, I'm going to be right on this one, because they ain't putting this as the main event on a WWE show for Joe Hendry to have a crowning moment. Sorry to Joe Hendry. That wasn't going to happen.
No, when they announced it, I was like, yeah, that solidifies it for me. If they had done Vaquer and Jordan Grace as the main event, which we did talk about it being potentially, that kind of left a little bit more to the possibility of Joe retaining. But no, once it became the main event, I was like, oh no, they want the moment. The moment merchants Trick again.
I got it. Good on Trick Williams. He's the TNA champion. He should not show up to TNA now.
Someone asking, any reason Worlds Collide will be on YouTube and not Peacock? That might be a Sean question.
Yeah, I feel like it still might be on Peacock, but maybe it won't. Maybe it's they're already doing Money in the Bank on Peacock, and they're like, hey, we're not running 2 shows for you guys.
it's also like it's not a canon event, but they're trying to kind of shoehorn parts of it in canon. Because like you've got the Gable match.
Yeah, but they shot a vignette with Legato and then announced
why.
that.
That's why I'm kind of like they're trying to shoehorn it in, but like it's not, but it is. It's weird. I don't know what this event's supposed to be in terms of the outcomes relating to the wrestlers. Like, how can I explain this? If Legato loses and Legato has like a breakup angle, that influences Legato's WWE storyline. If the other team wins, it's what Wagner, Pagano, and who am I missing? Psycho Clown. If they win, or even if they lose, like who does it affect? Go ahead.
Worlds Collide is listed on the Peacock schedule, by the way. Okay.
I don't have Peacock, so I was just going to watch it on YouTube anyway. With my sponsor skip happily on.
Just letting everybody know, it is on the Peacock schedule, so I assume it'll be on Peacock. It just feels like they're pushing the international YouTube because it's a AAA show. Well, it has AAA talent. It's a WWE show, but they're just trying to push the international YouTube stuff.
I think it'll be a really fun time to watch it with the PBR special on the YouTube channel. They're still doing PBR on the WWE channel. Did you know this? Did you realize this?
No.
It's like every weekend there's PBR on the WWE YouTube. Is anybody in this chat watching it? That's my question, because I am not. I just saw it's there. Why isn't Chad Gable wrestling Vikingo on this card? He's the perfect person to wrestle him. Chad Gable's been working on the Lucha Dark Arts. He's got to figure it out. This is his biggest test yet.
Nah.
Come on, chat. Start watching PBR, Pro Bull Riding.
No.
Anyway, AEW Double or Nothing was last night. And technically into this morning, if you're on the East Coast. That was they do walk-ins for the PBR shows. Sorry, we're going back to this. Now I need to watch it. Double or Nothing was last night. The show was good. The show was long. The show was, as it's always long, but that is what it is. Thought there was a lot of really strong stuff on it. Hangman is your men's Owen Hart Cup winner. He will face Jon Moxley at All In July 12th in Texas. Mercedes Moné wins the women's Owen Hart Cup final. She beats Jamie Hayter. She's going to face Timeless Toni Storm. For anyone who thought Jamie Hayter was going to win the whole thing, I don't know why. We talked about this from the get. This was Mercedes' new belt to win, and you got the two hottest women in the entire company. You got to do that match. So it's good. Nobody really lost anything by losing. Will Ospreay looking dejected, defeated, but at the end of the day, I thought that Hangman and Ospreay not only over-delivered, but had a hell of a match. An instant classic is what I put on the thumbnail, and I really meant it. It was a fantastic match. We'll get your overall thoughts on the main event, and then let's dig into the rest of the things.
I'm glad both men are okay, because that when the table broke on the Deadeye, that looked like it could have been very bad. I think, I don't say all of us because some of us are young, but when the table broke with Triple H and Kurt Angle got a concussion off of that as the SummerSlam I was at, I'm pretty sure. And so 2000. Yeah, sure. 2000. That was a scary spot. And this looked potentially scary. And then they just got up and Hangman just did the Deadeye anyway on the rubble of the table. But not this match was so good from start to finish. It was, if you want to call it match of the year, fine. SP3 will have better arguments for why it is or isn't compared to me, who can't remember what matches took place on Saturday, much less what happened earlier this year. Kenny and Gabe is still probably the leader in the clubhouse for me, but Hangman and Ospreay was just fantastic stuff, start to finish. I will always call good wrestling matches good. It was too long though. Could have cut off like 20 minutes of this match. Would have been so much better.
Like 45-minute match.
No, it wasn't.
It felt like a 45-minute match. Somebody can tell me what it was, 36 something?
Yeah, it was 36:59 according to Cage Match.
There you go. I just put that off the top of my dome.
It didn't feel 45 minutes at all. Like, I thought it went by very quickly. I know it started Like it started like 11:45. I was like, this ain't going 15 minutes. There's no way in the world it's going 15 minutes. But it went by very quickly, I thought. Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and Hangman probably gets slept on just because he gets so much praise for his character that people forget how good he is in the ring. It's not like there's like bad Hangman Page matches, and when he needs to deliver in a big spot, he delivers. Hangman winning to me was always the right call. I would have fully understood if they went with Ospreay. Fully understood it. Ospreay continues to get the huge reactions, but the crowd is so behind Hangman and this overall story that this felt like his moment. And now going to All In, I don't think you can have this guy lose. Sorry to Darby Allin. Sorry to really just Darby Allin, because that seemed to be the play before he decided to climb Everest. I don't think you can have Hangman lose in Texas at All In. That'd be a huge misfire for the company. And I think they're smart enough to realize that.
I think you can, but that's just me. SP3 is here because he's got to defend his star ratings, I assume.
Bye.
No, I'm here because thankfully Jeremy's on this show, because Jill just said, no, it was just a good pay-per-view. It had some strong points. I was just like, all right, I gotta come on this show. This guy undermining. He wants to talk about TNA 30 minutes. He wants to talk about Under Siege, and he's so hyped about the TV taping that he went to. He's like, oh yeah, it was just a good show. I went to sleep before the main event, and then I watched the main event with a cup of coffee in my hand. Oh yeah.
Coffee. I don't give a fuck about drinking coffee during the main event.
It was just fine.
It was just fine.
God damn. Like, oh
you know what I tell you? Oh, they did all the moves. They did all the callbacks. Oh my god, it's 2017.
How the hell do you have a wrestling podcast? You're miserable.
Because I don't break down all this shit. Because I don't break down every single move.
You do this 3 times a week. You do this 4 times a week.
Yeah, I do.
At least Jimmy Macaram, he does 1 show a week, and he can be miserable about it. You do it 4 times a week, and you're miserable. God damn. Thank you, Jeremy, for talking about this matchup in the proper sense and this pay-per-view. This is one of the best AEW pay-per-views since Revolution that we went to, Jeremy. I think that this is like the best pay-per-view that they've done since probably All in London. This was last night. The Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page was the best pay-per-view main event that they had since Swerve and Bryan. Not as good as Swerve and Bryan. That's the greatest match I've ever seen live. And I was in the 3rd row behind the Bryan Danielson family. But this was right up there because these guys had a hell of a hill to climb because they had to follow nearly 4 hours of professional wrestling. I'm seeing the sun come up after Anarchy in the Arena, but I did not feel tired at all. Like 2 hours into Saturday night's main event, after Cody came out, I felt nothing. I felt nothing when Cody came out. I was like, I'm either really tired or this show is awful. And I think it was a little bit of both. But I was not tired when this match started because they made it feel big time. And just the sequences, the chemistry that they had was off the charts. The finishing sequence is amazing. And it came on a night that had one of my favorite finishing sequences of all time, which is Okada catching the Ultimo Weapon with a drop kick and then Rainmaker in the shit out of Steamboat Mike Bailey. But these two guys, Hangman going for the buckshot, then Will reversing it into the powerbomb sequence, into the Stormbreaker, then him reversing that to a discus clothesline, then the buckshot Larry, a second of the matchup. But the match when I realized that this is the match of the year, and I'm saying this as you know, Jeremy, someone that said Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd, I didn't think it was going to get caught. I didn't think it's been the leader in the clubhouse since January 5th in the Tokyo Dome. It had so much emotion, so much meaning, so much drama. It made Gabe Kidd a star in New Japan. But this match felt like AEW had finally regained the feeling. Something that they talked about ad nauseum to the point that we all just used it as a meme. But they finally got back to where they were in 2021 with this matchup, with this pay-per-view overall. And like, it was the two guys that you would think could be the ones to be the saviors of AEW. And they just went out there and put on an absolute all-timer. This is one of the greatest AEW pay-per-view main events of all time. This is the match of the year, in my opinion. And it went 37 minutes. And it did not even feel like that. But it went over the top when he busts out the V trigger. He busts out the V trigger because you know how much Kenny means to Hangman's story with the story that they had and the blow off at Full Gear 2021, and then Will in his matches with Kenny in 2023, and then he reverses the one-wing angel. He doesn't go for, I thought he was going to go for a one-wing angel like he did at Revolution 2020 Hangman. No, he busts out big pressure to be like, I am over this 2-year obsession. I have gotten over it enough where I can use his move. And then the near fall with the foot on the rope. I was like, yeah. I was like, Sorry, Kenny and Gabe. Club Superstar, you got to move over here. We got a new VIP section in Club Match of the Year. It's for Hangman and Ospreay over here. Hangman and Ospreay Match of the Year right now for me. Like I don't know if it's gonna get caught. It might get caught at All In. Who knows? But that is an instant classic. One of the greatest AEW matches that I've ever seen. This was absolutely epic in every way possible. And that's how you talk about this matchup. And we could talk about the pay-per-view somewhere. I do have a couple of minutes.
Joel is so mad. He's just no-selling everything you just said.
Oh, no, I'm waiting for the gates to be opened by the gatekeeper so I can say something about any wrestling. But I'm not allowed because apparently if I'm not on the same level of SP3 loving every moment of a match that he loved, I'm not allowed to talk about it. That's okay. Keep talking, SP3. I'm here. It's fine.
Oh no, let's talk about Under Siege, man. They had let's be miserable about Under Siege. Tessa Blanchard and Ariana Grace, and Tessa Blanchard got injured.
She fell. She fell over just running.
I barely watched that show and I thought it sucked.
Exactly. You think everything sucks. You're miserable.
I'm not miserable. You'd know if I was miserable.
I think
you're miserable when you're talking about wrestling. You're actually a very pleasant person because I've met you a dozen times. You're a very pleasant Canadian man who's very nice and has manners, and I love you. But when you talk about wrestling, you're just miserable. And I'm telling you as someone who does a show every Thursday with the most miserable man in wrestling YouTube. You're miserable too. That's why you watch it.
I love how he's making the assumption that I hate everything based on the one match that I said was good.
Joel, do I need to reveal off-air conversations before this show started?
Thank you. What do you
want me to tell you? It's a long-ass show.
If you want to call it better than Kenny and Gabe, like I can't really argue. Like my memory sucks on this stuff. I'm very much prisoner of the moment of like, oh yeah, this was the greatest match of all time, like after I see it. But it was I'm with you on the closing sequence, by the way. I love the urgency when Hangman jumps to the apron to hit the buckshot after he hit Will with the lariat after all the counters, everything. I was like, oh yeah, he's going for it. And I'm glad that was the finish, because here I'll be miserable, which I hated the finish in the stupid buy-in match that they threw together an hour before the show. The finish should have been the 4-post stuff. It should have been 4 pinfalls off of that. What are we doing kicking out?
I agree. That was the peak of the matchup. Like this one ended right at the peak, and I felt like this was like some of like Will Ospreay's best selling and bumping in a matchup. And he got the storytelling parts that sometimes he can like lean to some people as like self-indulgent. He got really like the smaller details of the matchup really well, like how he leaned heel, like he just started snapping because Hangman was hitting him too hard and started hitting him with the palm thrust, and then he was the one that wanted to put him through the table. Like he got the little things right in this matchup.
I didn't think it was going to happen, but after the match, when Hangman went back to show him respect, like, is Will just going to hit him? Is Will going to be like so dejected after this loss of like, God, I've lost another main event. I've lost another big opportunity, that he just completely snaps. But it would have ruined a lot of the story they've done with Ospreay over the past year with shedding away from Don Callis family. I was like, that would be kind of lazy if they went in that direction. So I'm glad they didn't go with that, but I had the inkling of they might do it. I don't need where they talked about on Wednesday, like, I'll help you win the title. Nah, Hangman's beaten Moxley before. Hangman and Moxley have gone to the limit before. Ospreay
but
said himself.
I can see Will and like people, Will, maybe Darby, Bryan. I could see them being the ones that kind of counteract the Death Riders getting involved in the matchup. I can see that. And then the final one is Swerve. Swerve has to be part of the people that stop the Death Riders from getting involved in this to give Hangman the win. This is gonna be like the big, like, shining moment of the main character of AEW, the first homegrown star coming and saving the company. So you got to have these other guys that get involved in the matchup in some way. I don't think they should attack Jon Moxley in any way like that, but at least be the ones that get rid of the Death Riders.
They're going to do the WrestleMania 40 match, and Swerve's going to play the Undertaker. That's what they're going to do here.
And you know what? If they do it, people are going to yell about it. They'll say they're just doing WrestleMania 40.
Nah, they're going to be happy.
Sit there and be like, here we go.
They're going to be happy if that's what happens.
I still think it's going to be. I still think Hangman's losing, and I still think it's going to be Darby at the end.
Man, if they have Hangman lose, they are
telling stories, brother.
They're trying.
I told you, Jeremy. I'll give you credit. You got it right. You wanted Hangman to win, and he won. And I've never been that happy to be wrong about a wrestling result than last night. I was happy that it was Hangman, but I totally agree with what you said on Thursday. It's the same thing. Like, they're gonna alienate more of the fans than even if Will had won and lost at All In. If Hangman loses at All In.
Yeah, they can't have Hangman lose. They
can. They will. They would. It's fine.
I mean, they can if they want to run off a lot of their core audience, because this feels like, the SP3 mentioned restoring the feeling and everything like this. They've done a lot of goodwill of rebuilding this year. I think, as Tony likes to remind us every week, it's been a great run of shows all year. Like, they've done a lot of goodwill this year with rebuilding stuff, but the one complaint everyone still has is the Death Rider stuff. If they try to prolong this thing and they do it at the expense of Hangman, the guy from the jump, the guy who they've built up from the jump as their top homegrown guy, that's going to be a misfire.
They've relied on Moxley for a lot of things over the years. This is just another thing that they continue to rely on.
It's not relying on Moxley at this point, though. He's had the title since October. What do you mean relying on Moxley?
I mean, historically speaking, they've given Moxley a lot of balls to pick up when things have gone.
He's picked them all up. You're good. You've dribbled it. You've taken your shots. You've run your offense.
Keep it going. He doesn't want to go fishing anytime soon, so you keep it going.
He doesn't have to. You don't. You give Moxley a year-long reign.
Hell yeah, let's go.
They can't.
I don't think you should give it a year. Give it almost a year.
It will be almost a year if he holds it past July. There's only a couple months later. It's October. That's a year.
Well, I mean, I'd say September is probably the time when he would drop it. So here we go.
We need to drop it at what's All Out?
Yes, All Out.
That's
in
basically
Toronto.
Why not?
That's basically a year.
He's going to be dropping it to Darby if he retains that All In. So they're going to wait till Seattle at Wrestle Dream. They're not going to do it into.
Have they announced that Seattle's doing Wrestle Dream?
More than likely, they'll announce it after Moxley retains at All In. But no, they can't do this. They literally pivoted, because I know John Alba of the Takedown on SI. Check out SI.com. Cheap plug there. He reported that the plan for months has been Hangman and Swerve versus the Young Bucks. So this was actually what I've been asking for months. You know this, Jeremy. I was like, does Tony Khan know how to pivot? And he did. He pivoted to Hangman. So now you have to seal the deal and have Hangman win at All In. You can't do that to these Dallas fans. They see Cowboys lose way too much already.
Facts.
He's not their cowboy, so it's okay.
Factual.
He's not their cowboy. He's not even a Texas Ranger. He's just a guy in a stadium who likes leaves and plants. None of you are going to pick that up and say leaves are plants, dumbass, and do the whole bit? No? All right, fine. Fuck me then.
It was a perfect, unanimous silence to that.
Gotta glaze Hangman, I guess. I will say the moment that he came out and they did the new presentation for Hangman. To me, that kind of tipped the hand. And I get that Ospreay got the whole like, I don't know what that entrance was. It was fine, but they've done that with before with the Fletcher match.
This was different than the.
Oh, you're right. The Fletcher match, he got the EDM drop, but
the Fletcher match was on another level. I'm like, just play elevated, dude. I don't care about this. Just get into elevated.
What was the one where he did the same entrance with him talking, over before the entrance? They've done that before with Ospreay.
I don't think they've done that in AEW.
Yeah,
and it had the stained glass from the churches as his Titan drawing as well. And you know me, I love a matchup that pays off the build and the promos leading into it. And I felt like this match did that as well, because Hangman busted out the Angel's Wing and then trying to do the best moonsault ever, and then being like, all right, wait. Let me just do a moonsault. And then that took too much time and he misses. I was like, oh, they got me. I'm here for it. That's what I was like. All right, they're officially cooking now. Here we go.
Anyway, the match was fine.
Do you want to talk about the rest of the show, Joel? Just a fine show.
Hell yeah.
just a good show. Had some strong points.
Let's talk about Paragon and Don Callis family. Lance
I will say,
King of the Mountain on that commentary booth. Let's go.
They did a very good job of pacing the show of up, down, up, down, up, down. Like they ordered the show very strongly in that regard. Like I did feel bad for Paragon and Don Callis family. They weren't going to follow Anarchy in the arena, but it was smart to, okay, you're way up for that. Bring them down a little bit, and then we know we'll get back up for the main event. And all six guys in that match worked hard. They were just they were in a tough spot. They followed a match that was complete chaos, and people were just waiting for Hangman and Ospreay at that point. The crowd got into it when they needed to, but
I thought the finish was great, honestly. I love the kick to the head into the brainbuster. I thought it was really well done coming out of the guillotine. No, again, like the wrestlers know how to wrestle. That's never ever a problem with AEW. I get it. So just I did like the 6-man tag, and I always
Joel like the 6-man more than the main event.
I mean, it was a hell of a lot shorter. I can tell you that much.
It was good for a come down matchup, but damn, they put them in an inevitable spot where they were gonna be the cool down matchup, because that was the best Anarchy in the arena ever.
So, all right, can I criticize Anarchy in the arena for a second?
You can, because I'm gonna glaze it.
No, it was perfect. Everyone loved it. There was nothing wrong with it ever. Nothing.
I didn't like the Mark Briscoe spot, and I didn't like it because he lost the stretcher match to Ricochet. And it felt like you were undercutting that stretcher match by just having Mark Briscoe show up. I'm glad they went back to Briscoe and Gabe Kidd. I mentioned that when Gabe Kidd showed up the other week. I was like, remember when he did that thing with Mark Briscoe like 3 months ago, and then they never followed that up? Like, I'm glad they followed up to that. But I do think Briscoe should have still been in the ambulance. Like the ambulance door opens and then Briscoe jumps out. Like if you're going to do that spot, that's how you do that spot. But I didn't like that they did the spot at all, because it undercut the actual violence. And it was a violent match, Ricochet and Mark Briscoe, of like, oh, see, he's actually just fine and he can just fight off here. I would have personally switched up that whole spot and done Hook comes out of the ambulance. And I know Hook was, oh, let's do a side eye to Samoa Joe. Could have been the same thing. Hook comes out of the ambulance, hits the guys on the outside, and then still walks away as Joe and Shibata and Hobbs are like, what's going on with Hook? Well, he helped but like, what's happening there? And then you still lock him in the ambulance. I would have had Mark Briscoe out on the ambulance match, just because you should sell that the stretcher match was violent, and a guy should not just be able to, I guess Mark Briscoe's built different, which if that's your answer, like fair, I can't argue with that. That's the only thing I really didn't like about this match. I was like, felt like you undercut the stretcher match a little bit. Otherwise, match was fantastic. Oh, did these idiots in the Death Riders, can they not go through the door in the driver's side and the passenger side? Why?
Well, sometimes that part is locked. Sometimes that part is locked.
They're inside. They can't unlock it. Is it locked from the outside?
Sometimes it is, yeah.
Is it?
Hey, ever been in an ambulance? Have you been in an ambulance?
My mom used to work in hospital.
Okay.
I used to look at the ambulances a lot. I'm sorry.
I'll take it.
I'm weird like that. I was weird, a weird kid, and I used to examine that. So
You don't want people to try and bust out when they're trying, when they're taken to the hospital. Something's going on.
All right, fair. I've ridden an ambulance once. I was unconscious for the most part, so I don't remember. I certainly wasn't trying to get through the front door.
Now imagine waking up in that ambulance, being like, "What the fuck's going on?" and trying to get out of it because you're so freaked out that you got taken in an ambulance.
Yeah,
that's why they do it.
That's why.
Feels like they still could have. They could have gotten out. They could have kicked down the glass or something. Come on now. If Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey can kick down the glass, then I think Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli can kick it down.
Well, they had just been beating the hell up for like 40 minutes. So to be fair,
so Mark Briscoe got beat the hell up and he was fine.
Ronda and Charlotte are different.
He's a zombie. It's obvious. He was covered in blood. They didn't even clean him up.
All right. Thank you for explaining how ambulances work to me. Work there. I appreciate that. Otherwise, I thought the match was great, and Willow stole the show. She should.
Willow was a star.
Honestly.
When a wrestler shows up wearing overalls, run. Okay, they're planning to beat your ass. Just run away.
She should win the title.
The earlobe. Oh my God! I've never been like, what is going on?
Anything with the earlobe.
By the earlobe.
I get freaked out about that stuff. Like when Orton would do that shit to Jeff Hardy, and then here as well. Like anytime they do that earlobe spot, I'm like, oh man, that looks like it really sucks. I assume like it's fine. They're cool with it, but it looks awful. The visual of that just always looks terrible.
My favorite part was when the audience is and commentary are like, check on Willow.
Yes,
and then
that was awesome.
And the team is just like, she's fine. They just keep going with whatever the hell they're doing. I'm just like, all right.
And then like 5 minutes later, Nick Jackson does a swanton off the top of the screen and literally hit the back of his head on the stage. I thought he was loopy for a minute there. I was a little bit worried, and he just kept going. I have a couple of favorite spots. First, when they hit bodies, I'm up here in my room with my kids asleep, and I'm just dancing. I'm like bodies. Oh. I was like, yeah, let's go. This is hype. I was like, this is all right. They got me. I was like, I was not into this. Jeremy knows immediately when it was looking like this was the direction. I was not into this, but they got the vibes right with bodies. When Tony Khan got his money worth, he played that joint like 4 times. They had the perfect drop of the music with Swerve getting swung into the speakers, ending the music.
That was so hokey.
It was so hokey, but so well done. It was so well done.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to misunderstand me. It was hokey, but it was funny as hell because the whole match was hokey as hell in its own right. Yeah, the Bucks coming out with the founding fathers gimmick, and it's like I think Sean was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's Memorial Day, Sean Ross Sapp."
Exactly. I was like, oh, I get this. I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so I know that this is from the Constitution. I get it. So I love the spot where they did their double stomp into the power bomb, but through the table at ringside. I was like, Kenny Omega, you should not be doing all these bumps, but here we are. Man, Swerve taking an actual staple to the tongue, and shout outs to O'Shea Jackson, who said Staples is to Swerve what spinach is to Popeye. Whenever he gets stapled, he gets more energy. And Tony Schiavone had one of the best lines of his entire career. When Powerhouse Hobbs gets stapled and he no-sells it, he's like, he's been shot before. You think Staples gonna face him? I was like, let's go, Tony. They said you was washed. You had one more line in you.
It was good stuff. The bodies thing. So this was my one nitpick, is that when you get a song and you just play it to death, it got to the point where I was like, all right, play the rest of the album. The rest of the album rules. Just play Sinners. Play Sinner the whole album and you'll be fine. It was, again, like playing bodies was hilarious. I thought it was great. But once you get to like the 5th playthrough, you're like, all right, we got to turn this off now, please.
They didn't get the rights to the whole album.
I know. Yeah. The point is like, at one point you're just play the whole album. It's better. But it was, again,
nobody's heard the whole album.
Yeah, no one. I didn't. I sure as hell didn't hear the whole album.
They've heard Tearaway. They've heard Sinner. They've heard Bodies. They've heard the 4.
I haven't. I've heard Bodies.
Tearaway. You've heard Tearaway. That was like all WrestleMania 18 was basically that album.
Oh, I ignored that.
You lying.
Just like I ignored their version of the Triple H theme song. Like
that was awful. We don't talk about that one. Dave Williams ruled, man. It sucked that he died so young. The second album sucked because they brought in another guy and it was like a 32-minute album. Anyway, not my guy.
Joe with the history of Drowning Pool.
Yeah. Hey man, I liked Drowning Pool. I did, and then they sucked. But the Death Riders get stuck in an ambulance, and that's kind of the best part. They got locked in like they're a bunch of Ghostbusters. And sucked up. And again, the Bucks get, beat up at the finish by Swerve, who and Kenny, of course, but like Swerve, the Bucks have had Swerve's number for the last few weeks, right? And cheating losses. So like it made sense. The finish made sense, and I like that. And the match was fun. Like it was just as long as the matches can feel sometimes, this was a very well-paced Anarchy in the Arena. And Jeremy, we have to shit on, not literally, on Claudio and Mimosa Joe for a second. Jeremy, what's the one thing you always talk about when it's a street fight? You take it to the street, right?
Yeah.
They did it wrong. They thought they were doing a thing, but it's Anarchy in the arena, not Anarchy outside of the concourse by the gates. They went outside. They left the arena. They should be disqualified.
That's still the arena. The arena is the entire building.
Yeah, the arena.
Willow and Marina.
Okay.
In the vicinity.
In fairness, it's Anarchy in the arena. The parking lot doesn't count as being part of in the arena. That's outside the arena.
That's fair.
So,
that's fair. That's what I said. Marina and Willow, I know they went outside. They went all the way outside, but
they were wrong
too. I was fine with that because of the camera work of going from Marina and Willow were fighting in the outside and getting bottles cracked over their head, and then they transitioned nicely into Shibata fighting with Wheeler Yuta. It just gave the vibes of SmackDown Here Comes the Pain when me and my friends in high school used to have the crazy matches that we would go to Times Square in a train and stuff and go all around. Like it just gave me that type of feel. I had such a great time with this matchup.
That did well. What do you guys think of the Swerve using the shoes with the tacks at the end? Did it work, or was it a little too long to get that put on and to do the stomp?
No, I thought it would take way longer because he had boots on. Well, he made a smooth transition. He just looked at the tags and he was able to get off his shoes very quickly there, and it was great product placement. I always enjoy a good product placement in a match.
They should have exploded on top of having thumbtacks though. They should have just doubled up on the Anarchy. We've seen thumbtack shoes. We've seen exploding shoes. They should have done both. Exploding.
Well, they did the electrified table, didn't they?
They did do the exploding table. I thought that was very cool.
Yes, I was like, I did not expect that. I was always wondering when they were fighting by the ambulance. I was like, why isn't nobody going through that table? What's going on with that table? And then when they finally did it, I was like, oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, the shoes should have exploded on top of having thumbtacks. All the thumbtacks should have exploded.
Overall, fun match. I liked Anarchy in the Arena. I liked there was a lot of story to be told, and they did a good job with it. Going through the speaker was ass, motherfucker. Anyway, is there anything else in that match y'all want to pull up?
That was a cool spot. Willow should have pinned Moxley. That should have been the finish. That's
people were surprised that Willow didn't get some sort of move in or some sort of revenge on Moxley. Moxley got it on her again.
Hey, she got the TK driver with Swerve. That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite moments. And then her taking off the overalls and having big black and jacked. I was like, let's go. That
Meltzer driver it looked gnarly. It looked scary for a minute. It looked like it was a little low, but it seemed like everyone was okay. Everyone finished the job. But yeah, that had a moment. I was like, oh shit, that was scary. That was scary. Yeah, good match.
The best part of this match was Hook showing up wearing a Kenny from South Park hoodie, looking like Kenny from South Park. I love how like the hoodie is supposed to like conceal the person, and now it's just like, look, it's Hook. Yeah, like he didn't even take the hoodie off.
She's wearing orange. You know who it is.
Like, guys, it's Hook. Like, okay, like not even trying to.
That's gotta be Hook. That's gotta be Hook.
I'm just sitting here, be like, bring out Gabe Kidd, get to the finish, and then they bring out Gabe Kidd. It's like, why aren't we getting to the finish?
Gabe Kidd not joining this match earlier was kind of a miss. Like he should have. Why did he wait until the end to be part of this? It's Anarchy in the Arena. You can join anytime you want. Just
he was
join.
chatting with Tanahashi. He was getting Tanahashi's view on things.
Actually, if he was beating the shit out of Tanahashi backstage, that would have been funnier.
Tanahashi did look like he got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, Tanahashi did come out limping. Like he's blessed.
He's always limping. As someone who watches way too much New Japan, he is always limping. He has a half a knee. He doesn't even have one knee. He has a half a knee.
He's old.
The reason that I said this is the best Anarchy in the Arena, though, is because I love the fact they did not keep it as what I thought they were going to do is just keep Willow and Marina just fighting each other. They mixed in Marina beating the guy's ass. They mixed Willow spearing the crap out of everybody. And like what the chat said, like one of my favorite parts was bloody Marina spitting in Kenny's face to do it. Do it. Yeah. Like, yo, Tessa is gangster. I was like, don't you know this is Kenny Omega? He will do it. And Snapdragon. I was like, yes. This is just awesome. It was just awesome in every way. It had the vibes, it had the feeling, and just a great ending to kind of end this whole chapter of the Bucks working with the Death Riders and Swerve getting his revenge on the Bucks for costing him the AEW World Championship. This was probably the closest Anarchy in the Arena has gotten to the first one in 2022. I think you would have had the cherry on top, and this is a certified match of the year candidate if Eddie Kingston was healthy enough, and he was the one who made the save instead of Mark Briscoe. I think that would have been like, okay, this is no doubt the greatest Anarchy, one of the greatest AEW matches of all time. If Kingston was able to come back.
I love that Eddie did the interview with PW Insider, and people are like, he's probably lying, and I was like, Eddie doesn't feel like Eddie's gonna lie about this one. It feels like Eddie's not going to wink and nod you into his return. He's going to be like, I'm ready and I'm going to beat some ass when I get back. Everyone's on notice. That's going to be the Eddie Kingston return. House on fire. Not like, I don't know, I'm going to play coy. I'm feeling okay. He's going to come in and it's going to be great. There weren't many big returns or big surprises at Double or Nothing. You can argue that like Hook and Tanahashi were like the big ones, and those aren't really big returns. They were just kind of special appearances, and that was that. Gabe Kidd you knew was going to be there, and yeah, with going back to Tanahashi, it feels like I guess we'll see a 12-man at Forbidden Door, or maybe a 10-man, but it feels like they'll do an all-star with him.
Oh, God.
That was a whole ass group of people at the end of that match.
Yeah, I don't know if
they'll probably do. Yeah, they'll probably do like probably a 12-man because that's how many people are in the Callis family. So
that's fine,
and that's the best way to hide Tanahashi. To be
fair. That's why I'm saying a 10 to 12-man tag. Tana gets his work in, and then everyone else just works around him, and that's it. Easy.
Tanahashi against Kyle Fletcher 1-on-1. That's the match.
Kyle Fletcher can pick him up for that brainbuster and just end that career. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'm with that. I think maybe like a 10-man. You're actually right, because I think Takeshita is going to have a big singles match at Forbidden Door.
Been saying he should be walking in with that WGP World Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door.
No, we are not. We're not gonna let you casual New Japan fan, not even a casual. You watch it like once in a blue moon. We're not gonna let you dictate and stop the revolution, the Goto revolution. I bought in and I bought my stock pieces. Goto needs to hold this world title until January, and then he drops it to Yota Tsuji.
No. We've been saying this for a while. It's definitely
There's no we.
Yeah, yes, the royal we.
You're not a part of the New Japan Nation.
Royal we.
Neither are you. You just kind of show up.
I am. I was waking up when I was in New York City at like 3 a.m. to watch New Japan shows. I'm a part of the New Japan
not
Nation.
Mine. Sounds like your fandom, not mine. I can read the results just as easily.
Nah, SP3 is part of it. If anybody's part of it, he is a Bullet Club as well. Like that's
exactly
Bullet Club adjacent. Yeah.
No. I've been certified by different generations of the Bullet Club. Look at this guy. Look at this guy trying to deny me.
I agree.
Deny the lore.
I agree. The biggest thing, no one actually said this, but I agree with myself that the biggest miss in Anarchy in the Arena, where was Jack Perry? Where was my guy?
No! All right, guys.
Jack Perry.
See y'all.
Still converting the bus.
Love you guys.
I was trying to jack off during that match, and there was no Jack Perry.
Could have done it.
SP3 is a hater. That he was not upset for Jack
he was
Perry.
converting the bus. He was just working on the bus.
The jack-offs could not rise during Anarchy in the Arena. we were left limp once again.
Next time, he just needs to take a pill and come and join us. Come and join us in Jackland.
Very sad. Very sad.
Speaking of Jackland,
you want to bury the rest of this show?
No, because I want to talk about. Yes, actually, you know what? Will Ospreay, worst wrestler in the world. I think everyone needs to hear this once and for all. He's washed, he's buried, and it's over for him. Nobody ever needs to see Will Ospreay again. I'm sorry, it's over. Hangman Adam Page, don't come out with a horse ever. I'm saying that, but also bring back the horse. Just like, but not like a real horse. That's cruel. Just do a fake horse. Do a Trojan horse, if you will. Come out at the All In on a Trojan horse made of wood. Set it on fire. Go full circle. Set the horse on fire and let's go. That's it. Speedball brings back the Rainmaker, and I will have nobody tell me otherwise. Speedball did it. Nobody else could do it. Everyone's like, I want the old Okada. I want G1 Okada. Speedball was just like, bitch, I want the title. And Okada was like, trust me. And that was it. That's all he needed. That was a great match, by the way. Speedball always delivers, and Okada was absolutely up to the challenge. I thought that was a really fantastic match. The outcome was never in doubt, so those two just went out and went crazy. I thought it was really good stuff. I'm a Speedball homer. Who am I?
I thought Speedball was very good, and I thought Okada was better than he has been, but people are going to think more highly of Okada because of the finish.
It was very well executed, though.
It was very well executed. Don't get me wrong, Okada was very good in this match. People are going to boost how good Okada actually was because of that finish, when Speedball did a lot of the heavy lifting in this match.
Good stuff. Great stuff. People know how I feel about Speedball. People know how I feel about when Speedball's on TV. He's a fantastic wrestler. I'm curious from him down the line what he wants his goals to be in AEW. What he thinks is a successful run, other than money, because money always, is helpful. But like, I'm curious about what he considers to be a successful run in AEW. Is it a slew of great matches? Is it a championship reign that's meaningful? Is it something else? Like, I'm curious about that.
He just wants to have fun.
He does.
Let's
do it without shoes.
Ball have fun. That's all he wants to do, and he's doing it.
More surfing for Speedball. Let him surf the crowd with his no shoes. Yeah, I thought that was again really solid match. And as we get closer to the presumed Okada Kenny Omega match, this was the right first step to remind people that Okada is more than bitch, and that he can do more than what you've been seeing him do on AEW, which was annoying people. You want to talk about, going back to the whole, if John Cena's booking is the idea that he's bad and blah, blah, blah. Okada, I'm not saying Okada came in and was pretending to be bad, but I think that the idea was Okada, the heel, was kind of holding back for when it meant something. And this was the beginning of something meaningful for Okada as we get to All In, and they start to kind of bring back to that Okada that people know. I'm hoping as they get closer to this match that they do kind of explain the story and the history between Okada and Omega, but we have a little bit of time, just not a ton. So that's kind of my curiosity.
I love that Okada's been coasting for a year.
He deserves it.
He's like, all right, fine. I'm finally getting this Kenny match. All right. I'll start working myself into shape now. I'll start giving the people what they want and start taking this stuff serious. But you ain't getting nothing out of me until then.
I'm going to dye my hair blonde and wear the same suit every week. I'm going to call people bitch until you give me an opportunity to do otherwise. Well, here it is. Oh, God damn it. Fine. I'll get a new suit. I'll stop dyeing my hair and I'll start having good matches. Who's first? Speedball? All right, fine. He's good.
Sorry if I'm disrespecting Okada by saying Speedball carried last night.
My God. He brought it out of him. Let's face it. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa. Danza Kuduro comes back once again. Mina does not win. Tony Storm retains the title. Mina kind of wins. Gets herself a little kiss from Tony Storm at the end. No returns. Not everyone. A lot of people were angling for either the debut of Tekla or the possibility of a return for Mariah May. Not the case. Tony retains. Now we're moving forward on this match. This was good, solid match from Tony and Mina.
I didn't think Mariah was ever coming out here, and I didn't think. I think we talked about it on the lead up. I don't remember if it was with you or SP3, but Thekla didn't like fit into this, because if you bring her in here, common sense says she's going after Tony, and this isn't the time for a Tony feud. She could have attacked Mina, I guess, but that didn't feel like that was going to be the play for her to attack on a pay-per-view. That might happen on Dynamite now, but I didn't feel like that was going to be the play on pay-per-view. So I didn't expect Mariah or Thekla for this, because it didn't fit with what they wanted to do, which is have Mercedes have her moment to start the night, have Tony have her moment later on in the night, and then tell you it's Mercedes and Tony.
I've seen it, Redmond Survivor in the chat saying Thekla and the Callis family. We talked about that. I talked about the idea of doing Thekla in the Death Riders. I think there's room for that. Coming in and just doing a immediate slot at the top, especially going into All In, feels a little anticlimactic. I think she's more suited to either come after All In or slot herself in somewhere else that's not title contention, and then build from there, which I would rather she do that.
Yeah, just put her somewhere that's not the title picture. That's completely fine. You don't have to bring somebody in and then they immediately slot into the title picture. I don't think that's what should happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're waiting until after All In. That's way too long to bring her in when they've already done the teases for 3 weeks at least now.
Right. I only push that as if they're going to do the world title slot or slot her into a championship match, All In is the only time that would actually make any sense to not make it feel like she's just coming in to lose a match, because the All In match is Mercedes and it is Tony Storm. Like you cannot pivot from that. That would look silly. So that's where we're at. Mercedes, Jamie Hayter, the other Owen Final. Very, very good match. Opened up the show. I really enjoyed it. I thought the finish was wild. That's whatever Mercedes is going to call that DDT looked rough.
I don't know if it was supposed to be a DDT or they just they off the timing a little bit, but it turned into a hell of a DDT. Whether that was what it was supposed to be or not, like it turned into one.
I had a headache watching her hit that DDT. That looked painful. But then she finishes the match, does Mercedes. She basically jumps out of the ring. And that was the thing. It took me a second because I was like, why did she jump out and run out of the ring? Like, did she steal the victory? I'm like, no, she just hit that like gnarly DDT. But no, she comes out.
She was afraid Hayter was going to knock their block off. After
she was already knocked out.
She was like, no, I got to get the hell out of here before she comes after me.
Gonna get my receipt. Jesus. Yeah, but the match itself was solid stuff. Again, Mercedes, you can't in 2025, you couldn't in 2024. You can't sit here and say that she's not doing some of the best, most inspired work of her career this year, especially, and at the end of last year. She's a talent that is undeniable. For everything people feel about the Mercedes fandom, Mercedes the wrestler continues to be one of, if not the top women's wrestler in the world.
I like that she just keeps on winning, and that upsets people too.
But it's clearly because she has creative control, Jeremy. That's it. Yes. She's never going to lose again. Mercedes Hogan over here. No, stop that shit, by the way. Stop the Hogan bullshit. Come on.
I mean, she was always going to win this match. It made sense for her and Tony to be the match, and that's where they went with it, and that's the right call. It's the biggest match they can do on the women's side. And I love that Tony Khan was asked in the press conference, like, oh, what about this main eventing? And he's like, yeah, like it's possible. That's an interesting idea, as Tony always says. It's an interesting idea. It ain't gonna main event. Sorry. It might open. I thought it was the right call to have this match open, because you were putting it in a tough spot. Otherwise, again, I thought they paced the show very well with the up and down. And so starting off with a hot opener on this was the right call. And it was 21 minutes. It didn't feel like it at all. This was another one, much like the main event, where the times actually threw me off because it went by very quickly, and they worked a smart and a well-paced match.
I think at this point there were references made before, right, about the longest matches for the women in AEW never going past 20 minutes. And I think that to a certain degree, Mercedes kind of took that as a bet and started saying, you know what? I want my match to be the 20-minute banger, and let's go. To me, when I say it felt like 20 minutes, I don't mean it felt like 20 minutes. I mean like the way that it finished, the way that in the timing, it felt like it was a 20-minute match, and it was a solid, well-worked 20-minute match. They all got their points in. They all got their points across, and now Mercedes is going to All In to have the match.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see where Hayter goes after this as well. Like, as good as the match was and as good as Mercedes has been, and this is kind of the standard she has set. Like, I don't think it was the best Mercedes match of the year. Again, not a knock on the match at all. Mercedes has had some like kind of classics this year, and this was just a solid, better than solid, but a strong start to the show and to the tournament. But if you want to say the Athena match was better than this, like I don't know if I'd argue that. Like, I do think kind of the Athena match was better than this, and Jamie's still working her way back from a tough injury, and this was. I know she had the matches with Statlander and Billy, but this was our first big pay-per-view test since returning, and our first and a longer match than those as well. Like, this was she had the match as I look it up now, which I didn't see, but she had the long match against Alex Windsor and Eve. This is our first kind of long pay-per-view match since returning from injury, and Mercedes works at a pace that's a little bit faster than a lot of these women work at. And it was up to Hayter to kind of keep up. And she did as well as she could, given she hadn't wrestled too often over the past year. Yeah.
The trying to think of, like, you gave the belt collector another belt, which was no shock. When we looked at the brackets, we were like, yeah, is Mercedes, this is her tournament to win. I never understood anyone who thought otherwise, just because it was another belt for the belt collector. She dropped the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, which I thought was a good little piece of business to get people maybe thinking otherwise on the AEW side of things. Do you think she's going to recapture that Strong Championship before All In, or just kind of leave it off for now?
No, I think they'll probably leave that off. Like, I think she's going to win the title at All In.
I don't.
Okay.
I think Tony's going to win this one.
All right.
And I think this is kind of not really the blessing, because it's more just the understanding that the Mercedes character eventually has to fall. I mean, it depends who you ask, right? But I think that this is kind of the beginning of just kind of the Mercedes downfall. She loses a big one. She starts losing her titles. She has nothing to gain. Does she come back as a babyface? I don't know, but it could be a time off thing where she just, is off TV for a few weeks, comes back and is meaner than ever. Maybe she has some help. Maybe she gets a faction of her own. There's more to play with in a loss, I think, than a win, because a win means she continues doing what she's doing and she doesn't need any help. But a loss means you can start building other people in the latter half of your contract. That doesn't mean the latter half of whether or not you're staying, but the idea being, like, you can get more people with a loss and build more people with a loss than with a win.
I don't think she's losing it all going into All In. I see people in the chat mentioning, like, is she going to drop the TBS title between now and All In? No, she's not losing it all between now and All In. That would kind of defeat the purpose of this whole being undefeated going into All In, is having her lose before that. That would make a lot of sense, unless it's a triple threat or a 4-way or something where she doesn't take the loss, because that's what they did with the Strong title. But that would feel disappointing as the TBS title reign, which is now at a year, if she loses it without taking the pin. I don't think that's in service to anybody. In service would be she loses the title and she loses in a singles match and boost up whoever ends up winning the title. We'll have more women's matches on All In. They might not be for a title, since the two champions are fighting, but I wouldn't be shocked if Willow and Chris is on that show. A casino gauntlet is a possibility as well. We'll have more than one women's match. They're not just going to do one women's match on that show. I think they're smarter than that to do one women's match.
And I think they've come to realize that they have an abundance of talented women who are ready to go. There's no reason to have just the one match. That would look bad. So on the biggest card or the biggest show of their year, why wouldn't you want to showcase some of the talent that you have? The buy-in, even the buy-in tag, there was a reason to do that. Those 4 women are very popular. Well, in their own ways, they're very popular with the crowd. So you want to showcase them. You want to give them an opportunity to perform, and that's kind of what All In should also include. Yeah, you do take away the opportunity of doing a TBS title match because you're going to have Mercedes presumably walking in with that title and her with the doing the women's title. But I'd merge the two. I'd get rid of the TBS title at this point and just do a women's title. I would. At the end of this, I think the TBS title needs to get out of there.
No.
Yeah, start paring down the titles. Do a women's world, do a women's tag, and just and get rid of all the ROH extras.
The ROH ones, they don't exist on AEW television anyway, so who cares about them? It's not like the ROH men's title where Bandito is defending the title on AEW TV. They don't exist on AEW TV. Athena has one match and then she's off AEW television. No, I don't. The TBS title actually has some like history and cachet to it. This ain't a belt that's just. It's got more than no offense to the international title. Like Kenny's the champion and he's finally going to defend it after not defending it for 2 months in a 4-way match where people just have to win a match to qualify. Like the TBS title actually has some good history behind it. Now you can't get rid of the TBS title. I'd rather get rid of the TNT title than the TBS title.
Sure, get rid of that too. You don't need as many of these titles in general.
Joel, okay, but Joel, you hear yourself, right?
I do. I'm also looking across the bow and I'm saying the women's Intercontinental Championship and the women's US Championship are also booked poorly. That's separate.
But the TBS title isn't being booked poorly.
Not the point I'm trying to make. The point of them trying to make is that you can build stories without needing a title to get there. And that's always been a crutch with a lot of these companies.
Okay.
Do a women's world, do a women's tag, and build your competitors based on the wins and losses.
But you hear yourself of get rid of the TBS title because they have too many titles, but add a women's tag team title.
Yeah, because at least then you can do a friggin' tag team division. Because at least then you can start building a division of the women that you have, the ones who aren't getting on TV, because you're sure as shit not doing it with the women's mid-card title that you've got.
They are, though. What do you mean they're not? They've done a great work with the women's TBS title until they put Mercedes in the tournament, and then the tournament kind of took precedent. Otherwise, they were doing good stuff with the TBS title, right, and Mercedes.
They were doing great stuff with the Continental title. They were doing great stuff with the TNT title. They were doing great stuff with the International title. It's the same thing. It's the same problem, is that the belts just keep moving and shuffling. Yeah, in this case, you've got it's one women's mid-card title,
yes,
but it's one. The same idea. It's the same idea.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's a completely different idea because there's not 5 mid-card titles. There's one.
Mid-card title. Get rid of the mid-card title.
I feel like you are.
If you're going to do a women's tag, get rid of the TBS title.
But who said they're doing a women's tag? People talk about it.
People do talk about it.
And Tony thinks it's an interesting idea, but he said this was an interesting idea 2 years ago as well. This doesn't mean it's happening.
You're going to
see. If they introduce a women's tag, if that takes away from the tag or the TBS, then fine, we can have this conversation. But right now, there is no women's tag team title. I think women's tag team titles, by the way, are a little premature because Anna Jay and Harley Cameron make for a fun team, and Penelope and Megan Bayne, and people like to, they can put this team together and that team together. Or they just don't have to put teams together, and they could continue to put the stock they've been putting into the TBS championship and building off of that. Like, I don't think a women's tag team championships are a necessary thing. The TBS titles are, like, they've done good work with that. They've done really strong work with the TBS championship. It's been defended on nearly every pay-per-view. Mercedes is having long matches. It's just right now the precedent or the focus was on the tournament, and Mercedes was in the tournament, so the TBS title just kind of had to take a little bit of a back seat. I assume after All In, they'll pick it back up with that. You don't need to get rid of the TBS title. Come on now.
Hell yeah, it'd be Tony Storm holding both titles when they announce that it's going to be a winner take all.
What are we doing?
We'll see what they do. I think they'll do a winner take all.
I mean, that's fine if they do that. I mean, I think Mercedes is going to win, so she's going to have both titles anyway.
I think she's going to lose. We'll see.
All right.
Ambulance match happens. Ricochet wins his pay-per-view match by kicking someone in the dick, as you do.
It was a stretcher match, not an ambulance match.
Sorry, it was a stretcher match in which they loaded their opponent onto the ambulance, which is not typically how a stretcher match works, but for some reason, that's how we're doing it. An ambulance match is when you load your opponent into the ambulance and close the doors and the ambulance drives away. A stretcher match is typically you take the stretcher from the ring and you drive it all the way up to the top of the ramp, and when you get past the piece of red tape that denotes the end of the match, that is how you win the stretcher match. For some reason, we did both, so it's a stretch ambulance match. Not to be confused with the Stretch Armstrong match, which is when you try to break your opponent's arms so that you can Stretch Armstrong them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ricochet won.
It was a really good match. Ricochet winning was the right call. I still would have had Mark Briscoe sell things and not come out in the main event, or at least just jump out of the ambulance, like we mentioned. But overall, look, Mark Briscoe absolutely rules. Like,
he does.
Absolutely rules. I hope they give this man a whole lot more over the next year. And like they do give him good stuff, but I think he deserves even more than what they give him. He's just so good. And Ricochet's doing fantastic work as a heel, but I'll continue to beat the Mark Briscoe drum of this is a guy who should be one of the top baby faces in the company. And this is a guy who can hold a title or can feud with your top heels. And I think Ricochet is one of their top heels, and make him look strong and keep himself over in the process. He's just so damn good.
Yeah. And he continues to impress. Ricochet continues to be such a piece of shit in the best possible way. Mark Briscoe, I'm wondering what's next for him. What do they do with him on a singles run? Gabe Kidd? I mean, yeah, they definitely set that up. Is that a Forbidden Door match? Is that an All-In match? How long is Kidd sticking around in AEW as part of, John Moxley's hired goon squad?
I imagine he'll be around through at least All In.
So do you do this match at All In then?
Gabe Kidd and Mark Briscoe? Yeah, probably do it at All In.
Or is it a tag match and you end up doing Gabe Kidd and a friend or two versus Briscoe and a friend? Well, it'll be two friends because Briscoe has said he doesn't want to do traditional tag without his brother, right?
Conglomeration. They're getting back together, brother.
It's the Congloma Paragon. the Paragon Conglomeration. That's all I could think of at that point. I mean, I assume maybe it is. No. I was going to say O'Reilly and Strong and Briscoe versus Gabe and two other guys.
I don't know when Orange Cassidy's supposed to be back, but hopefully sooner rather than later. But Orange Cassidy and Ishii get the band back together with the conglomeration.
The Conglomagon. Oh, that's perfect. It used to be the Conglomadoot, but now it's the Conglomagon. I will see. Yeah, Briscoe continues to be just. We know he's good. We know he's great. Like if you saw him in Ring of Honor and you saw his singles run, like he was good then. He's better now, and this was a standout match for him. Ricochet, of course, is Ricochet. He continues to be a character that's worth seeing and worth investing in. Keep shining that bald head. Eventually, you're going to get a Shino Baldo, and that'll be that. Good for him. Good match. Ricochet now, don't know what he's next for. What do you do with him? Does he go after? I don't even know.
He should beat Adam Cole and be the TNT champion.
I thought about that. I did. I guess he could do it.
No offense to Adam Cole, but he doesn't. Big on commentary ain't really helping his run here.
He's too nice. He's just too nice. TNT title for Ricochet. People are saying, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's what it should be, honestly. Like he can he can actually elevate that title a little bit because 1, he'll wrestle more. 2, he just does great work as a heel. Like Adam Cole, they clearly ain't got too many ideas for him. I mean, maybe they're going to put the TNT title on Fletcher or it's Kesha since they're doing Paragon and Don Callis stuff, but they haven't done anything with Cole as the champion. They just same thing with Garcia. Garcia won. They didn't do anything with him. All they've done with Cole is an open challenge, and here's Adam Cole on commentary. And I just felt like the third guy in the group because O'Reilly and Strong are actually wrestling.
Get rid of the belt.
That one, like, fine. I'll hear an argument for getting rid of some of these men's mid-card titles. I'll not hear an argument for getting rid of the TBS title.
Get rid of all of them. Just make it 4 belts.
Hashtag Joel is wrong on that.
I'll see about that. What did I think of the disinfectant spot? It was cute. It's fine. The rest of the match was bloody and brutal, so it made for a funny little moment that Briscoe would go and do that, and then he used the bucket against Ricochet, so that made it even funnier.
It's so good. Mark Briscoe's so good, and Ricochet's been so good. Just fantastic work. This was the real match of the night. Don't care about Hangman and Ospreay. This was the true match of the night.
I'm not gonna argue with that one. There was a tag match. Tag titles were on the line.
Yeah, it was way too long.
That seems to be what's going on with every single tag title defense for the Hurt Syndicate.
You could. This was 5 minutes. It was way too long. I actually don't know how long this match was, but it felt forever. It did not need to be as long as it was.
Had to be a 15-minute match.
I don't think it was quite that long. It felt every bit of 15. There's no way this match was 15 minutes.
Like a 12:30 type of thing.
I mean, let's.
The internet says 12:35.
Yeah, it was too long. Like, it didn't need to be that long, and no one thought Dustin and Sammy were gonna win. They were cold challengers, and they tried. The work was like nothing wrong with it. I liked Lashley and MJF interactions, like that was fine, but it was also just weird. Of MJF is like, use the ring, and they're like, I don't know. And then they're just palling around on the outside afterwards. And yeah,
I gotta assume that it's MJF versus Bobby Lashley at All In, and they drop the tag titles between now and then.
They ain't dropping them by losing them. They might just drop them by literally dropping them. Be like, all right, somebody come pick them up, and they're yours.
Yeah, it's fine. And like Sammy Guevara was always going to be good in this match because he was working against 2 giant dudes compared to him. So he was going to jump and fall and do his thing. And he did a good job. They don't look like a tag team, even though they've done it before where they've looked like a tag team. At least when Sammy would wear the half face paint, something would be a tag team. Instead, he came out as Sammy Guevara. I'm surprised he didn't wear like a suit for the match. A latex suit. Someone in our comments when you posted that, what is Sammy Guevara? Someone had said like he's trying to emulate his best pal Cody Rhodes. Now that he's a dad, he thinks he has to dress like his best pal Cody Rhodes and wear suits all the time. And I was like, that's actually pretty on point.
Now this suit gimmick sucks.
What do you think of the FTR Danny Garcia Nigel McGuinness match?
Another match that was just too long.
It could have been a collision main event.
I'm fine with it being on the pay-per-view. Like, I thought
20 minutes. Holy crap.
Yeah, it did not need to be that long. Like, I thought FTR did well as the heels. They try to tell this story with Garcia, and I just don't know if it's going to click with him. Like, Garcia, honestly, as a heel with FTR, might give him more juice than underdog babyface. I just don't know if that's really going to click with him. And now they obviously can't go to that. I mean, I guess they can. It would make a ton of sense, but it's just another match that was too long. I like the stuff with Nigel and Tony Schiavone getting involved and trying to stand up for Nigel and everything, but a match that just did not need to be 20 minutes.
I can tell you my favorite part of the match. It was actually before the match started. FTR making their entrance. They're doing their heel shtick. Dax walks up to a guy who's standing on the barricade, giving him the fingers, giving him the double bird, and he's trying to jaw jack with him. And the dude's not flinching at all. Cash walks into frame and like tries to fake punch, like tries to get him to cower. Dude doesn't move. And the guy even looks at Cash, was just like, and keeps giving Dax the bird. That was fantastic. That fan deserves that. That's the guy who won the match for me. But it was a long ass match. It was fine. Like, people like to see Nigel compete, and there was the story with Nigel and Tony Schiavone, and it felt like Danny Garcia was almost nowhere to be found halfway through the match. So there were just moments where it was like you said, it was a long match that didn't need to be as long as it was, and Nigel got Danny got choked out. That's what it was.
Yeah, Danny got choked out. Like, again, it was a good match. Everyone worked hard. Some of the heat segments were just a little too long, but FTR is very good in those segments. And the finish, Danny Garcia, babyface in peril. It's just, I don't know if it's fully clicking, and I don't know if it ever will. And I don't know how you combat that at this point. I think people just see Garcia for who and what he is, and that's just a guy who's kind of been slotted at a mid-card spot, and there's nothing wrong with being in that spot. I just don't know if there's anything more with him at the moment, because they tried to do a little bit more with the MJF stuff, and MJF overshadowed him, even though Garcia, like, he lost that match, but then he got the big revenge angle there and took MJF out. But the TNT title run, he brought down my guy Jack Perry to his level, and the actual title run didn't do a whole lot, and they lost Adam Cole, and now he's teaming with a retired announcer, and they're trying to do this FTR thing, and FTR are good. I think they're really good as heels, but babyface in peril, Danny Garcia just ain't clicking.
So what you're saying is Danny Garcia should have gone to NXT? I knew it all along.
And probably not. Like, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with Danny Garcia. I just don't know. I just think he's kind of miscast right here. I just think he's miscast as an underdog babyface. I think he would be better off as a heel. They probably would have been better off having him align with FTR and just going full heel and being just a despicable dickhead alongside FTR. I think it would have benefited him more. People
still like cheering Danny Garcia. That's the thing, though. The music hits and like you hear that pop. Like they do like him. He's a young babyface presentation, but I also understand where you're coming from. He's not wrestling babyface style quite as well as he does his heel style. He's still figuring that part out.
I think Danny Garcia could be like a good dickhead heel, and especially with his, I know some people don't like moveset, but especially with his moveset though, I think he could. We'll see what the fallout is from this, because they tried to make him, again, fighting babyface and get some sympathy on him. But now where do you go from there? Because is he going to team with Nigel again? I don't think you can do that. So does Cope come in and help Garcia? It makes sense, but it ain't something I'm really interested in. Yep.
Others thought that Cope would make his return last night. Not to be the case. Again, very few returns last night for.
I didn't think Cope was coming back. I'm glad.
People thought maybe there would be a. Given how long the match was, that's kind of where I was like, probably could have done the Cope return here, but instead, looks like we're gonna kick that can down the road a little bit. Garcia and Cope feels like we're just giving Danny Garcia random people to work with while he goes up against FTR.
Here's another old dude who doesn't wrestle often. Good luck, Danny Garcia.
Oh no, poor Danny. Oh man, was there anything else that we missed? Oh, someone had mentioned in the chat. Alexander Hammerstone was backstage. Fightful Select reported the same. I'm not throwing any cold water on anything, but I will remind people that Hammerstone does, or at least did at one point, live in Arizona. So it's very possible he was just visiting. It's not, again, not reporting otherwise, but just something to keep in mind. He is from that area, so it could easily just be that. Yeah. Anything from the presser you want to bring up? Because I know it was a late show. I did not watch the presser. I did not catch any of it. Looked like Tony was in a very good mood regardless. Nobody asked him about music licensing, which made me very upset.
They asked about bodies and if there were any other considerations for that spot, and he said no. Like, that was the song he wanted, and that was the song they went with. So I actually thought that the questions to Tony were as good as you're going to get. Grace, Kimmy did fail, and I yelled at her, but she did ask a very good question about Scorpio Sky and his status. So I thought that was a very good, that was a good question from her. And I thought Mark Hoke, another friend of the show, he asked a good question about WWE counter programming. I thought Tony had a good answer to that. I was expecting a long-winded Tony answer on that, and I was hoping he would, take shots at WWE because that's funny to me. But he had a good, just quick response of like, it's the most counter programming they've done since Jim Crockett Promotions. This is going to end a lot differently than that did. I was like, you know what? I respect that answer.
Didn't he use that before, the Jim Crockett thing? And he said, I got a lot more money than Crockett, and I'm not going to put up with this shit.
Yeah, that was the All Out press conference. Yeah.
Okay, and that obviously got completely buried by everything else going on. But when I saw the JCP reference, I was like, "You've done this before," and that's why I wasn't so shocked by the.
He was a lot more combative on that for
quite a few reasons.
Yeah. This was a very quick answer. He gave a little sly smile at the end. I thought it was a good question. The rest of the press conference, like Hangman's doing character stuff, Mercedes doing character stuff, Tony Storm's doing character stuff. They just brought Bandito in there.
Did you see what title he had?
Yeah, the tag team title. The ROH tag team title. I was like, what is happening here?
Ring of Honor is such a stupid promotion.
Yeah, it's like what is going on? Why do you have the tag team title? That's not your title. You just had to go up to Dustin backstage. He's like, dude, I left my title in the locker room. I don't have time to go get it. They want me to do this press conference. Dustin's like, here you go. He had to approach Sammy Guevara. Sammy's like, I don't have my title on me, but I got a suit. You want to wear a suit to this press conference? Bandito's like, no, that sounds dumb as hell. I'm not going to wear a suit.
Bandito looks good in the suit, though. We've seen it. So I just saw the photo and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, he walked in with the ROH tag titles. Yeah. That rules. Did you lose it on the way? Is it in the hotel? What's going on here? Did you pack it?
I don't know. I was sure. I don't know how many people actually were paying attention to care that it was the tag team title, because it's like we don't know what the actual title looks like, so sure, that's the world title. If you say so, we'll believe it. The press conference, they've done a lot better job of keeping them short, though. They still take forever to start, because I think this show didn't end until 12:30 anyway, and the press conference didn't start until 1, maybe a little after 1, but it was over by 2:00. So the press conference, all in all, if you cut out the 30 minutes of waiting, it was only 45 minutes, which, considering they had 4 wrestlers and then Tony, 45 minutes isn't that bad. And a couple of people asked some good questions, and the others were just, you get the Tony answer. You get the Tony answer for the other questions that were asked. But I thought he gave a good answer with Scorpio. And I thought and the answer with Scorpio, for those wondering, was, I saw the comments Scorpio made. I like Scorpio. We talked about an idea. It didn't happen for reasons I'm not going to say. I'd like to bring Scorpio back. All right, that's fine. And then thought he gave a good answer with the counter programming thing. So all in all, one of the better press conferences, but they're still just a waste of time.
Yeah, they're long and they are sometimes full with non-answers. But like you said, a couple of times you get the right people asking the right questions at the right time, and you get something out of it. But
this wasn't even about like the length, because again, it was like 45 minutes. Like I can deal with a 45-minute press conference. That's not that bad. It's the 30-minute wait on top of it's not starting until 1 o'clock. Like I don't want to listen to this press conference at 1 o'clock. You do this press conference at 11. Honestly, you can go longer for all I care. But that was the worst thing about last night. 2 shows. They both started at 8 o'clock. Most disgusting promotional tactic in the Observer this year. Why are both of these shows starting at 8 o'clock? WWE, every show starts at 7. But this show, we know why. No. We know why.
Get the door.
Starting. Okay.
Oh, no. I didn't think it would keep saying it.
Oh, it's because kids are running in and out.
Right.
So you want to count and program and do your show. Start your show at 7. You start every other show at 7. Why is this one starting at 8? We know why, but why is this one starting at 8? And AEW, I'm on the same boat. Start these shows at 7. Saturday, Sunday, I don't care. Start them all at 7 o'clock. Stop these 8 o'clock start times.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. And like I understand before someone pushes back, it's like they're in Arizona. It's a different time zone. It's like, yeah, that would have been 6 when they started. Or really 5 because you got the buy-in. Yeah. It was you can start at 6. You can start at 6 or 7 and just keep going. But WWE they were on the East Coast. They could have started at 7 to 7. So it would have just been fine.
They know but we know why they did.
We of course we know why they do it. It's just silly. And like it's not like Battleground is gonna go 4.5 hours. Like the show's gonna go. It went, when did it finish? It was about
it finished
2:45.
30, 11. Yeah.
Yeah, they did about 2.5, 2:45. That's usually their sweet spot, especially with the NXT shows. When they do 2, you're just like, hell yeah. But instead it was the counter programming gets really silly. There's no reason to jump on them for the same time, even if they start earlier. Like you can, I don't know. It just felt not great. Yeah.
I don't mind that they counter program. I think it's funny.
I just want them to both start earlier, or one starts earlier, and just come on. Let's not go until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I start your shows at 7. You start every other show at 7. Start your show at 7. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Don't
feel like it's that difficult. Yeah, NXT posted the video of Trick winning the title at 10:43. So, take into account it takes them a few minutes to get that post up. So it probably ended about 10:40-ish, give or take.
Yep. So that's that. There you go. We got through it. We didn't really talk much about SmackDown other than the Wyatts, but other than that, there wasn't really a ton to get into on SmackDown, was there? Not that I can talk about it.
No.
There we go. Let's do a Raw preview and get out of here. How about that?
Do you want to hate on AEW some more, Joel?
Yeah, 4.5 hours. That's all I got to say about that.
It flew by.
So yes. Listen, I'll give them that. I will. But what happened was they got to the end of Anarchy in the arena, and then they were like, "Now it's a 6-man." I'm like, "Nope, not for me." And I just went to bed. And that was it.
Yeah, Joel gave up on the show. Everybody last night.
Yeah, I did. I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll get the thumbnail in the morning. We'll be okay." And we were. Start earlier. Start at 7. Should do it. Only 11 matches. Listen, there are a lot of things that they're starting to tighten up on. The press conferences has been one of those things. They're no longer 2.5 hour sprints where Tony's like, I'll answer every single question and, maybe even find myself in trouble. No, they're doing much better at tightening Tony up and keeping him both accessible and as friendly, I guess you can say, or just approachable.
I don't think they're getting like the media they used to get either. And I'm not saying that as a...
You got to work to bring them back. If you want all that media, you got to work to bring them back.
I don't think they... I mean, maybe they care. Maybe they don't. But the press conference, as we've talked about, like the press conferences, you don't get media for that. Like you get to ask a question and like fine, but they don't do other media. So it's not, the media rooms just aren't as full as they used to be. Because I don't know how much people, I talked about, I thought Denise might be at the show or at least have someone there from the show because it was in Arizona and she's in California. Like, oh, she might make that trip. And she gets more just doing a live stream than doing and going to the press conference. Like, I don't know if they care to like have a bunch of media there. Like, I think they're fine if they just get like 4 or 5 people who are going to ask a question and that's it. Like, I don't, because they're still getting like good coverage throughout the week. They had somebody from Variety there. And Lauren Coates, she asked a couple of questions and she did interviews with Hangman and Mercedes that went out the like hours before. I maybe would have put those out a little bit earlier instead of just a couple hours before the pay-per-view, but I'm sure they have reasons for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's like a ton of media there. So Tony doesn't feel as inclined to be like, I want to make sure everyone gets a question. Like, well, you answer 4 questions, that's everyone. So I imagine like the all-in press conference might be a little bit longer because you'll get media for that show because they did well with media in London the 2 years, and now in America, I assume they'll do well with media. But I just don't think there's just like a ton of people there to ask a bunch of questions. And look, they've gotten just better at. All right, Hangman's only going to take 3 to 4 questions. Like the wrestlers only take 3 to 4 questions. They're in character. They ain't giving these long-winded answers anyway. And Tony has gotten better of cutting down his answers.
The Texas. Okay, so what you were talking about, all in the UK having more people in the room. That was also at a time when they hadn't really done anything in the UK. In the last 2 years, they have been, right? Going to Texas, like it is their big show. It is a big event. I don't think it's on, from a press side of things, on a similar level to having gone to the UK because they're already in the States. You know what I mean? It's the same. You're pulling from the same pool is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but it's more of a destination travel event than
they're trying to make it that. Yes.
Yeah, than like all their other shows. That's my main point is people are going to travel to go to this show where they might not travel to go to Arizona for Double or Nothing.
Yes, and that's fair. It's just when you compare it to London, I'm just like, London's a different beast because they're not there more than once a year, and that was their biggest location for the year. So yeah, we'll see what All In Texas brings. Obviously, WWE's counter programming it again, so we'll see if that's going to bring people to Atlanta or if it's going to bring people to Texas or both. There can be multiple people in a room at one time, so we'll see where that goes.
Are they going to do a press conference for, like, are they going to, I guess they'll do media that week for Evolution, which, see, that's the thing. If AEW, and that's where the counter programming stuff goes beyond just, hey, we're doing a show at the same time and the same day you guys are doing a show. It's a media war as well. And NXT isn't going to draw, like Battleground might not draw a ton of media, but having Saturday night's main event on Saturday, John Cena's wrestling, as bad as I think this stuff has been, like it's a big deal. And so WWE gets a lot of attention for that. Bringing back Cody Rhodes, WWE gets a lot of attention for that. And you're talking about the All In show. They're going to do Saturday night's main event with Goldberg's last match. They're going to get a lot of attention for that. They're doing Evolution the night after. They're going to get a lot of attention for that. They're probably going to do even some type of media scrum before that. And so media might be like, oh, you know what? I can get interviews with these people in a scrum compared to All In, where we might not get anybody, because for All In London, AEW has traditionally done these little scrums, but they haven't for any other show. So I hope they do it for this show and they recognize that they should do it. But it's still just all a media war of people got, I don't know if they got mad at me. Some people did, but I don't really care. I made the comment about Will Ospreay and like his passion and like, gets dismissed as bootlicking. But like, you can't really undersell Ospreay going on these local shows and doing these non-wrestling podcasts, and the way he speaks about AEW, like even if it converts 1 or 2 people, okay, that's 1 or 2 people that aren't watching. The people who call Ospreay a bootlicker and it's like, why is he taking shots at WWE in every single interview? Those are the people who've already made up their mind and it don't actually matter, because they're either watching to hate watch or they're not watching anyway. And no, whatever Will says in those interviews, they aren't going to care. Will could say nothing about WWE. He could just give glowing answers about AEW the entire time. And people are not going to be like, oh, Will gave a great answer here. You know what? I'm going to check out AEW and see what Will is up to. If they're already a WWE fan, they're going to hate no matter what Ospreay says. But when Ospreay does these interviews, he's speaking to fans who may be on the fence, may not know quite what AEW is. Like, we're all in this little bubble of wrestling. You got to think about the people. Like, dude, there's a lot of people in the world, Joel. I don't know if you know that. There's a lot of people.
There aren't. There's like 7 people. No, what are you talking about?
There's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of people online. I understand it's like, oh, you got to be chronically online to see this stuff. Yeah. There's people who are chronically online in different parts of online. We are on it in a wrestling sphere. There's a million other spheres out there that we don't talk about because we are not part of those spheres. But when Will Ospreay does a podcast that just talks about supernatural events, I'm not saying he was on one of these podcasts, but he's just on some podcasts that are just kind of like shoot the shit sort of podcast, not a wrestling centric podcast. That probably gets thousands of listeners. And then Will Ospreay pops up on it and they hear him talk about it. And you listen to him talk with the passion that he talks about. It's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll check this out. And if you get 1 or 2 of those people, that's good. That's 1 or 2 fans that you didn't have beforehand. But he got those people because he talked about how great AEW was. And he sold them on AEW and wrestling. And he sold them on his personality. Both companies do this, by the way. This isn't just me trying to like big up Will Ospreay and what he does in the media. You know, Seth caught a lot of the same heat of like, oh, he's bootlicking and everything. You know, Seth talks about WWE with a passion that it translates to potentially new fans. Cody does a great job at this as well.
Let him talk. That's what it comes down to. And people will react as they will. And also, like, it takes one guy who does a bunch of content that's like non-wrestling related to see Will make and then make a TikTok from it. And then all of a sudden you're just scrolling TikTok and then you see Will Ospreay being impassioned, giving his raw AEW as a challenger, and we're challenging for the best. And people are like, oh, I like this guy. And it's easy to get in like that. The internet's now in snippets and clippets anyway. So like this was just another snippet that Will said that got people, looking and feeling a certain way. Go ahead, do it. Do your thing.
Okay.
What? That's just what it is.
All right.
What?
Nothing.
No, come on. You looked like you were about to say something.
No, I said okay.
All right. Raw tonight, live from Tampa, Florida's Yuengling Center for the last night. No, there is no NXT taping there. It's at the Performance Center on Tuesday. So you get the last night in Tampa. So get ready because after this, WWE is over. It's done. Men's Money in the Bank qualifier match. Dragon Lee, Chad Gable, and Penta for the Battle of Lucha Supremacy. King of the Lucas tonight. Who's going to walk out the victor?
I think Penta.
I also think Penta. Okay. Dragon Lee's just there to eat a pin. That's unfortunate. Or are they going to debut a second El Grande Americano so that Chad can say, it's not me, and people just laugh?
Well, we already saw a second Grande Americano. Remember? He was backstage getting taken away when Gable was talking. So
yeah, and they even had the right shoes on. That was very good stuff. Yeah, it could be that. Remember we talked about the shoes, the rainbow shoes? Anyway, not important. I mean, it is important in the grand scheme of things, but not here. Men's Money in the Bank qualifiers, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. Poor Finn Balor. Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank? Or Seth Rollins wins the match, I should say?
Probably Seth wins the match, yeah.
Rusev beats the shit out of Akira Tozawa.
Yeah.
What if Tozawa gets the roll-up victory on Rusev?
Well, that's not going to happen.
Well, the thing is, Rusev has come in and he's just so unserious. I feel like he's serious, but he's not serious. Like, this character is very unserious, Rusev. Maybe
he's not losing to Tozawa.
What if he does, though? What if he does lose to Tozawa?
Okay.
It's that roll up. Well, you never know. World Tag Team titles are on the line. The New Day defend against American Made and the War Raiders. Wonk finish, or do New Day win and retain, and that's it?
I think New Day probably retains. They're going to add a women's match. That'll be your DQ match of the night finish to this show. There's no women's matches on the show right now. So they're going to have to add one to set up a DQ finish.
I'm trying to think, what is that match?
Rhea and Roxanne.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know who's on the women's Raw roster anymore, other than like who's qualified for Money in the Bank at this point. Yeah. Someone's interfering in the Rusev and Seth matches. I don't know about the Rusev one. I think after that, the Seth match, I can see you get, Bronson Reed involved, but aren't the triple threats or no DQ anyway? Because that's the WWE trope.
Yeah.
And so is the tag title match then, because that's also a triple threat.
I'm telling you, they're going to add a women's match, and that's going to be the DQ. I know they just did Rhea and Roxanne a couple weeks ago. They don't care.
They do not do it again. Yeah, they don't care. Lyra and Roxanne will have a match, and Rhea will get
maybe it's Io and Roxanne. The women's match is your DQ match of the night finish.
There you go. Rhea and Roxanne won last week. Great. One of them can lose this week. Wonk finish and all. Anyway, that's Raw. Watch it or don't. It's on Netflix. And you're back tomorrow. Jeremy's back with SB3, 10 a.m. Eastern, to talk more about wrestling. And
Gary Joel,
tell me why I'm miserable, or why I'm not supposed to be a wrestling fan, or how I don't know, whatever gatekeeping bullshit you guys want to use this week. Jeremy, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Are you okay, Joel?
No, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay in months. What are we doing?
Seriously asking you, are you okay?
I am fine. I'm tired.
All right.
I've been tired.
I don't want you to be mad, Joel.
I'm always mad.
Fair.
Okay.
I don't want you to take anything SP3 says personal.
No, I do. I hate him. I hate him so much. I'm gonna go on to his show and I'm gonna talk. I don't have access to his show. Never mind.
He'll probably give it to you if you ask him.
Probably would, but I also let him. He's got his own stuff to do. It's okay.
All right.
Anything to plug?
No, I might be in a bad mood tomorrow. We'll see.
And then someone's got to gatekeep Jeremy.
Nah, we'll see what kind of mood I'm in. It's not up to me.
Well, we'll find out soon. For Jeremy, you know who I am. I just told you who he is. They're back 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.